Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. We're going to switch up the gears a little bit. At first, I want to address lineage. Lineage has been the focus of our issue for the last several years. We've delineated and we've woke up a couple of real big issues with respect to members of the diaspora, claiming that they in Africa particularly that the African, I mean the Black American just doesn't is a lost African that don't know who he is or where she's from. You don't know your true people. You are an African. I'm Yoruba. I'm Igbo. I'm Hausa, whatever, and I know who I am. I wanted to kind of, from a historical standpoint, dispel that myth because actually, according to verifiable history, that's not true. It's a myth. Why so? Well, if you look back to the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade, which I want to identify or originated um, vis-a-vis the stupidity and ignorance of African tribal chiefs. Now, I'm not trying to um, diss any group of people. I'm not what's the word, xenophobic. I'm just telling the truth. I'm trying to get back to what the old folks used to do, is just tell the truth about what's going on. If we look back to history, um, in 1400, um, in the year 1400, a displacement of Africa's natural and human wealth began. Why? Well, it happened because Europe unlocked itself. To quote Dr. John Henry Clark, unlocked itself out of the icebox. How did it do that? The Europeans were introduced to Chinese technology through years ago, I would say the kindness of the Moors. I'm not going to say that now. I'm going to say the devious agendas of the Moors, um, that I still don't completely understand. Maybe um, our brother, Mr. Freedom, can come up and explain their real objectives. Well, in 1400, according to Dr. Um, um Claude Anderson, Chancellor Williams, and Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, the displacement of Africans' natural and human wealth began. It began because slightly prior to that, if my memory serves me well, I think it was 1200 AD, maybe 1100, 1200. The Europe was going through a massive plague, the Black Death, the bubonic plague, and the white people of Europe, the now known as white people, Europeans, were getting wiped out by a vicious disease. The disease was later tracked to rats and animals, general filth. I don't mean that in a pejorative way. I'm just being historical. Um, and they were dying. Well, the Moors went to Europe to save um, the European lineage from dying out and introduced them to science. Somewhere along that line, they were introduced to seamanship and the ability to navigate on boats. I speculate that that came from the Moors, but that's not really important. Well, Europeans, after they unlocked themselves out of the icebox, according to Dr. John Henry Clark, were allowed, then they had the ability to travel. If you look up Vasco da Gama, he circumnavigated the globe. Um, and in this circumnavigation went around Africa. One good thing about Europeans is they take good notes and write stuff down. What was written down was a massive amount of wealth, um, order, structure, and civilization in certain places on what is known as the African continent. And when Vasco da Gama got back to Europe, he reported this. Now, a war broke out in Europe between the English, the French, the Germans. They were killing each other, brutally killing each other. And Spain was a superpower back then. Spain needed money to keep fighting these wars, and an idea began to go look on this new continent for wealth. Well, the Moors, I mean the Europeans, excuse me, went looking for an African king named Prester John. Prester John was a Christian. You see, Christianity originated on the African continent, although they didn't really have a word for it. That's where it came from. Prester John was known to be sympathetic with anybody who was Christian or Karastian, and was known to give massive amounts of money to anybody who was Christian that needed it. So Spanish travelers went to Europe looking for Prester John. Now, Prester John had been dead for 100 years by the time they got there, but they met a goddamn fool who, an African tribal chief, who, in an attempt to show off to a people he didn't know, and show how balling he was, gave them Africa. That's true, but balling out like I'm so big, I'm gonna give you a slave. He gave them a handful of African slaves to take back to Europe. These European travelers took them back to the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church ran Europe back then, which fits in the second part of our title, where the Anunnaki real. We're going to get there and we're going to go there. Well, when those slaves were brought back to the papacy of the Catholic Church, Pope Innocent II um, got a brilliant idea in 1401, not long after this. His brilliant idea was he was going to doom forever into servitude people who looked the African race. Well, why did he do that? This is important to note, ladies and gentlemen. He did that because white people, Europeans, what we call white people now, enslaved themselves first. They were, as a matter of fact, the word slave came from Slav, like Slavic, like the Yugoslavia, Slav. They were the enslaved group of Europe. But the problem was they looked alike. So it was easy for a slave or a Slav to grow a beard, cut off a ponytail, you know what I'm saying, and pretend like they were somebody else and blend. They could escape real easy. Well, Pope Innocence, interesting name for that motherfucker, huh? Said, you know what? This group don't look like us. Therefore, if I enslave them, they can't run away. And we're still suffering that legacy today caused by the Catholic Church. It's a fact. Um, in 1500, by 1500, according to Dr. Anderson, tribal chiefs, Arabs, and Moors began modern slavery. Y'all heard that? Tribal chiefs is the first name on Dr. Anderson's graph. Wani, I'm gonna send you this graph to put in the jumbotron because my jumbotron's acting up.
Oh,
Of
okay.
course, it's acting up right now. But anyway, the tribal chiefs were selling African enslaved Africans to the Europeans. Just it started off as a balling thing, like I'm for beads, for broken mirrors, broken umbrellas, just nonsense. And that kicked off the transatlantic slave trade. How does that fit into the topic of is FBA lineage older than African lineage? It's FBA lineage is older than African lineage because by 1511, um, the Europeans start just fucking going to Africa and taking slaves. They were like, fuck it, we're going to take what we want. Why did they do that? Well, let's look at why. Dr. Claude Anderson says the self-destructive attitudes of the tribal chiefs have yet to be fully explained or understood, but historian Norman Cohns offered an explanation as to why chiefs so willingly traded their valuable resources to European and Arab traders. According to Combs, African tribal chiefs willingly participated in such questionable trade practices because West African economies were subsistence based and therefore people were satisfied with status quo and saw no need to accumulate wealth and power. They was balling. These niggas was balling and showing off. Dr. Anderson says, true or not, listen to this. White traders took advantage of the tribal chiefs' generosities. This self destructive tribalism, self enslavement, and lack of concern for wealth were interrupted by the Europeans as signs of inferiority. They, the Europeans, believed these uncivilized, childlike heathens neither appreciated nor deserved their God given wealth. Consequently, whites rationalized that it was their moral duty to take and utilize Africa's wealth and put blacks to productive work as slaves in lockstep with Pope Innocent's condemnation. Now, 1511 to 1545, Africa started getting ravaged. The Portuguese, as I point out in my book, came there pretending like they were Catholic priests, raping people, stealing children, going to villages. I visited some of these villages in Togo, in Ghana, where where actually people are pretty innocent over there. They're nice people, and just fucking stole us. Those of us who did come from the main continent and brought us over here. And what did that do to African lineages? It destroyed them. So Africans who claim to be of this pure lineage don't know who the fuck they were from 1511 to 1550. They were remixed. The places were given names cut up and carved by Europeans, and the Africans were repurposed, relanguaged, and reassigned with a new identity by the Europeans. Those African tribes would continue to be remixed way into the 19 fucking 40s, 50s. So they don't know who they are. Guess what? As a consequence of the transatlantic slave trade, foundational Black Americans have been here since really they say 1600, but I'm gonna say 1550. Although some of us have been here for a million years, um, and we have not we've been quite stable, ladies and gentlemen. Our name has changed from negro to colored to black, whatever, but we've been here stable in the same place, knowing exactly who we are. The argument in my thesis is, given the fact we've been in the same place for what, 500 years, a little over 500 years, let's just say a million to 500 years. um
Since the beginning of Homo sapiens. Well, we'll
go
say
ahead, Juan.
since people left, um, started leaving Africa, moving through Asia. So we'll say 80,000 years maximum.
Yes, Wani, we know it.
Unless they're going to say hominids were over here and that we're hominids, but we're Homo sapiens.
Right.
So I don't think we can claim to be hominids.
Roger that. So in conclusion, we know who we are. Africans don't. Africa has been fucking remixed. If you go to East Africa, you go to Egypt, there are no Africans don't even run that shit. It's run by Arabs who stole it. So it's disingenuous, Black Americans, and not true for people to tell us we don't know who we are from Africa and claim they know who they are, because they don't. They were remixed and we weren't necessarily. We were amalgamated. We were mixed with different genes through the slave trade, through close proximity sex, according to Wani Spots. But we've been in the same place on the same land with the same story for a fucking long time. So, in conclusion, don't let anybody tell you that you don't know who you are, because you know exactly who the fuck you are. They don't know who they are. It's all a projection. What do you got, Wani?
Well, I was just going to name one of the groups that we get these names and they make it seem like these tribes are have been there for like millions of years, like you said. And they really haven't. When you look at some of these tribes, not only can they not tell their origins, they're going by what they're saying. So it says claim to be from this area. And Yoruba is about 1,000 years old. That's not old enough to boss somebody who's half a millennia old and they don't know where they're from. So they're claiming to be from somewhere and they can only trace themselves back 1,000. The rest of these people are less than 1,000. Igbo, Fulani, they don't know where they came from. They're all over the place. You know they're nomadic. So they have different groups um, that are less than 1,000 years old, and some are closer to 1,000 years old. But just A lot of these tribes, like this one in the Congo Basin, the Luba and Lunda, they're about 500 years old. Oromo, that shocked me. Oromo, less than 500 years old? It's a very well known tribe in Ethiopia in terms of, being involved in religious and spiritual um, scholarship. They're mentioned in a lot of it. Uh, Somalis less than 1,000 years old. Maasai, that's shocking. 300 to 500 years old. Maasai, these are the guys that take meat from lions. Like, that doesn't make any sense for them to be that young, but they migrated from the Nile region into Kenya and Tanzania, and they cross the country line, so they don't have paperwork like pygmies and or their proper name Twa. They just they're allowed to be nomadic, but people don't like what they're doing. People don't like it. Even some of these Khoisan tribes are less than 1,000 years old, although the Khoisan, the Bushmen, are the oldest continuous culture on Earth, 20 to 40,000 years old now. This Bushman is what all of the African tribes are latching on to. They just feel like all I have to do is be on a continent with this kind of age and I can claim this, when in fact these tribes are not even that old. And in fact, some of these tribes have been named by the European and told to us, and so they don't even know their name anymore. Just like Hindustan became India, these Europeans named them and they don't know the previous name because they have horrific record keeping. Like you just said, the European keeps excellent records. Well, they are the opposite in their record keeping. They don't have any respect for their past and therefore they can't claim it. If I were to say right now, the only people who can get credit for drumming are somebody who can come up with a drum. You know who would get credit for drumming?
Who's that?
China. China has the oldest drum. Africans don't have the oldest drum. They didn't preserve any drums. We know that they're drummers. We know that they're known for drum circles, but they don't have any proof of it. They don't have any proof of anything. They're just moving around, claiming other groups' cultures, and getting into other people's countries and abusing those new people that they're exposed to.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And yeah, they're new. Anybody in this room who's been to West Africa would be shocked as I was at how undeveloped and just new, like developments, housing. It looks like it was built in the 80s or 90s. It looked that way because they are just now building West Africa. West Africa was, I don't know if it was organized. Some places were organized, like Timbuktu, where the oldest schools were. But the point of the matter is, the Europeans went through West Africa and burned that shit to the ground and remixed it. Why did they do it? They confused them. The Europeans had to confuse West Africa. They confused West Africa because they needed the resources. And needed, I said past tense. Hell no, they need the resources. Chocolate comes from West Africa. Germany gets the credit, that type of shit. So these people are remixed and confused, disorganized, fighting with each other. And they come over here and say, well, I'm from Nigeria. My mother's older than Nigeria. My mother's not particularly old. She was born in the mid 50s. Like, um, these places are
But
not old.
but look at this one, Zulu. That's a very popular name. Guess when they were formed? 1700s.
Wow. I'm talking through a mute.
Oh,
The yeah, yeah. So given that fact, FBA lineage, our true lineage is older. I was reading a book. I forget the author, but it was talking about what's the guy's name? Estefanico the Moor. Estefanico When the Europeans start first coming to America to scout it out, they had more. This is well documented. They had Estefanico with them, who's kind of credited for discovering Arizona. He spoke the language of the people here. Now, this is a jet black dude. He knew languages of the people here. How do you know the language? He knew the language because we had been here forever. We are Graham Hancock is doing research on this shit right now. It's very exciting research. And he's showing that America is fucking ancient. It's just been a very hidden fact. So I know y'all are asking, how do I know? In 2007, I had the high honor of working at the Smithsonian Institution. It was my one of my favorite jobs of all time. And with all its prestige, all its $1 trillion, I noticed that the Smithsonian, the scholars, and I'm talking about some high power motherfuckers at Smithsonian. You got Yale, Smithsonian's full of Yale PhDs, full of University of Chicago PhDs, and Princeton people that know stuff. I began to wonder, are they trying to hide things at my museum? I worked at the Museum of the American Indian. It was brand new back then. The tribe, we would have a chief visit every week from the reservations, and all of them were red natives, which frustrated me because being from Alabama, I knew that Native Americans look like us. Matter of fact, they were Native Americans in Alabama were darker than me. You know what I'm saying? So but at Smithsonian, the chiefs would be angry. I say, "Why are you sad?" A lot of them would be crying, y'all, and I'd say, "Why? What's wrong? Why are you sad?" And they would be like, "They're hiding our history. They're just trying to make this a way to sell clothing and sell food, and they turn it into a business." And I start to realize that the Smithsonian was going through leaps and bounds, going through a lot of hardship to try to hide history. When the Smithsonian's charge is to let people know history, it's all a psyop. It's a psychological war operation. That's all it is. Mr. Freedom, could you expound on the Moors? What was the, according to Dr. Claude Anderson, if you look in the jumbotron, look at 1500 on that timeline. It says tribal chiefs. We know why the tribal chiefs start selling enslaved Africans or giving them away. They were showing off like imbeciles. My question is, why did the Moors begin modern slavery, according to Dr. Claude Anderson?
Hey, how y'all doing, everybody? Good
What's up, bro?
afternoon. Mm, Thank you so much. I just woke up, and y'all don't give me any advance notice about the topics. So, if you don't mind, could you give me a moment, and I will I put a few things together because it'll just be a short answer if not, but I'd rather give you some
Sure.
some concrete information.
Now, check this out. The Tutsis are between 500 years old and less than 1,000 years old. But the Hutus are 1,500 years old to 2,000 years old. These groups are not very old to claim all these old roots. The only people that are old over there are, like we said, the Khoisan and the tribes. Well, I'd say the Twa, but sometimes the Twa are younger depending on where they are.
Yeah, and the Twa are kind of ostracized. That's interesting, Wani. So I'm gonna have to kind of push back on my own topic a little bit. From my little experience on the African continent, I was so blessed to be able to go with a dignitary who took us away from tourist areas. We were on a bus for 9 hours, and that shit wasn't cool because once you get outside of Accra, there are no roads. You're just on a dirt road. Somebody like just laid dynamite and blew a line through Africa. There are no highway systems. Well, anyway, we ended up in a neighborhood near Togo that was I'm not gonna call it a shanty town. I'm not gonna do that because it was just a traditional hut, un don't want to say uncivilized, a traditional neighborhood. And I met with a group of they're called the Tree tribe. And I'm saying that to say there are lineages in Africa that are very old. Like Wani just brought up what would you say, the Twa. There,
Khoisan, the Twa.
yeah, there are very old. I'm talking about fucking ancient lineages in Africa. But let me tell you the irony of that, black people. The irony is I don't recall ever seeing or encountering a real ancient lineage of African people. I'm not even sure if they refer. I've never heard them refer to themselves as African. They said I'm Tree. I never met them that had any type of disdain or disrespect towards us. I never met one of them try to correct me on my history. And matter of fact, you want to hear some wild shit? They were tight-lipped on their history. It was almost as if they knew something that they didn't want to tell. Y'all see what I'm saying? When we broke bread with the Tree people, the Tree um the first thing they did is they poured libations and had a ceremony where they wrapped our hands, and they were being really kind of aggressive, like, stand up, give me your hand, give me a quick. It's like urgency. It's like, what is this? And they wrapped our hands with these white beads, these things. And I asked, I said, what is this for? And she said, this is spiritual protection. She didn't brag. She didn't tell me who she was or how I didn't know who I was. She just put some around my right hand. The next day, ladies and gentlemen, and I have evidence that I just got copyrighted, some pictures. Dude, y'all know I was visited by. And this gonna sound wild, but Wani and Nikki saw this shit. Don't post it yet because I'm still working. No, I'm putting in that picture in a museum. Stop it, Piglet. Um, they were my dog was doing something she wasn't supposed to do, but they were putting. I mean, I was visited by some. This gonna sound fucking wild. I don't care. I got evidence. I was visited by entities and shit. No, well, I guess I shouldn't say and shit, but I don't know if they were hostile or not. But I did have some spiritual experiences over there, and I thought I couldn't help but wonder myself, were the Tree trying to protect me from this? What am I trying to say? We need to get back, like brother Mark Carter said. We need to get back to what the old folk, the way the old folk used to act. And the old folk used to say some shit back in Alabama. They would say, "An empty wagon makes a lot of noise, don't it?" What's the inverse of that? A full wagon is quiet as hell. Well, my experience on the continent is those ancient tribes that really knew something didn't say shit. Our brother Bobby Hemmett said said this before I went. Bobby Hemmett said he went to, I don't know if it was Congo or some, he went somewhere deep in sub-Saharan Africa and met with the Twa, the people Wani was talking about. They're pejoratively known as the pygmies. And Bobby Hemmett said they were, according to his testament, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he said they knew how to transform into animals and just morph into animals. And he said one person could turn into a tree and just stand there like look like a tree. And Bobby said, he said, "Wow, y'all know all this." He was like, "Why didn't y'all tell somebody that y'all could do this?" And Bobby said, the Twa looked at him and said, "Nobody asked."
They treat them like, they're dumb, and they're like, there's a gorilla over there. It lives up in the mountains. They're like, no, it doesn't. You're imagining it. There's no such thing as a primate that big. And they're like, no, it's really big and it's quiet. It just sits over there. And they said, no, 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 until they discovered it hundreds of years after the Twa said it existed. That's been true for a lot of animals.
Yeah, European. I in a way, I've kind of turned rebellious, even though I've been spent way too much money learning in European schools and getting licensed in their organizations. I'm kind of, the last several years, kind of been not really respecting European academic canon because I'm under the impression that European academic canon intentionally, or maybe they just don't know, but it seems like they intentionally ignore um, scientific occurrences. Where in a book, y'all are very educated. Where in a book has anybody seen, outside of the fucking movie Avatar, a flower start glowing like a light, like LED when you picked it? Y'all ever heard of that? I got a picture of it. I picked my wife a flower that was bigger than my hand, and I'm a giant. I'm a big dude. And when I picked it and I was putting it in her hair, she's like, "Why is that light? Where that light coming from?" The flower lit up like a motherfucking light when I picked it. You don't hear about
It's
this stuff.
bioluminescent, but they don't. I wasn't able to find that species.
Yeah,
They said 80% of species are not discovered yet. So we don't know what's on this earth. We don't know what could have come on this earth when we least expected it. I mean, it's mostly water. Something could come through the atmosphere into the ocean. Something very tiny could come through the atmosphere into the ocean and grow into something huge. So we don't know what's in there. We don't know everything that glows either. But you can see this bioluminescence on bodies of water. There's a mushroom that glows. There's certain things, but not that flower that you mentioned. I wasn't able to find that one in that region.
yeah, I got a fucking picture of it glowing in my hand. Like, what the hell? But my point of bringing that up is it's a lot of things that European academic canon. I'm gonna be bold and say European academic canon intentionally hides from us. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because Rockefeller took over education, and Rockefeller um, put that. If you look in the jumbotron, there goes a quote. Rockefeller, when he took over education, he said, "I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers." We're basically a machine, ladies and gentlemen. We live in the fucking matrix. We're a battery. We're here to drive economic progress. Was it Woodrow Wilson that said, I think it was Woodrow Wilson said, the business of America is business. This is a corporation. We're here to work. We're not here to learn. They don't want us to know what's really going on, which leads into the next part of our space, but we'll get there when we get there. The educational system was morphed into a Germanic system that turned us into zombies, like we were talking about yesterday, with all the medication that they put these kids on. It's just to zone you out and turn you into a zombie. I had a revelation today on my way home from work. When I was in Memphis the last 13 years, vape shops started popping up all over the place with that Delta 9, that fake weed. There's some of my students, I've never tried it, but some of my students said, stay away from that shit. One of my students said he did Delta 9 and was tripping for like days. Like, it's too dangerous. There's been people to do Delta 9 and have psychotic episodes. It's scientifically altered marijuana. Well, anyway, the revelation I had today when I was driving through Atlanta, I saw vape shops all over the place. Who owns them? Foreigners. Well, I was like, why are all these vape shops showing up all over the place? And it dawned on me that there's an agenda in America to keep everybody drugged, keep everybody pacified, to keep us asleep. So in America, either you get drugs from the doctor at school, or you self-medicate. That's what all these liquor stores is about, to keep us as a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. This
And I
Go ahead.
noticed that, no, I was just going to say, I noticed that a lot of people that sell these drugs don't use the drugs. Like the Arab liquor stores, they're not supposed to be drinking. And a lot of Mexicans back in the day would sell drugs, and you rarely see them using drugs. They do now, but you would rarely see them doing it.
Wani, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna, the way my mind works, I can't really do like dissertations and things, but as y'all bring it up, it just, placate me for a moment. But as it relates to when you're trying to do the social engineering that you had a realization about, when it comes to these drugs, let's take it back to the slave trade. uh, One of the things that they were exchanging was called a drogus. A drogus. All right. And the reason I bring that up is because the Satanists, they believe they come from a reptilian race called Dracos, right? Or dragons. Um, when I say we, I'm talking about melanin people, were the drugs of that time. Um, that was the drug trade of that time. And what I mean by that, I'm talking about like literally um, eating melanin people. Okay. Um, there's always a reversal when it comes to um, that's pretty much the way this planet works. If it's extremes, it's a pendulum swinging of extremes, and depending on what meridian you're on, that's why it's so important where we are here in America and controlling the minds of the people that are here in America. Um, you can project that all over the world. So what I'm trying to get at is that um, hmm, um, they create the drugs now to basically alter our minds, and that's what you do in war. You give like those, what was it, methamphetamine, hashish, or for assassin. That's where the word comes from. Hashish, like you drug people up that you want to send out and do certain things. And they have these things now where they can literally implant thoughts in your mind. Um, I forgot the technical term, but I was looking up some of the stuff a few days ago. Forgive me for forgetting. I think the acronym is V2K. Uh, I forgot. If you Google V2K, it'll come up. But basically, when they're pumping a lot of drugs, and it's because they're getting people ready for war, and to be
Like
in
with the
a,
Nazis.
yeah, you're in a suggestive state. Your mind is opened up. You may not
I
even
believe
know
that.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I mentioned hashish and assassin and all of that. Um, because you're not even feeling the pain, and you're having these delusions or hallucinations, but you may not even know these are thoughts being put into your mind. This is very serious stuff I'm talking about. It might sound weird, but I'm speaking about something very specific, and that's why I mentioned the drogas. Okay, the drogas was actually is a it was a method of exchange. Is a piece of twisted metal. I don't know. I want to say it was iron because that should make sense. But somebody looked that up for me, and it was used for exchanging slaves. So humans are a type of, because we have, especially us. When they couldn't beat us, they ate us, because what you eat you can control. That goes into your your uh your constitution, your your little planet, your little universe there, and
Your subconscious mind.
it happens mentally. But there's something that they couldn't accomplish without literally ingesting uh our bodies, and they still can't do it. But let me answer your question a little bit as it relates to slavery. We were coming into a period, which these are multiple cycles. When I say we, I'm talking about people that call themselves Moors, where we were thinking more emotionally, um, and excuse me, and we were taking pity on these creations that we made, and um, there's just a terrible way that they were, with disease and crawling on all fours. I mean, you can look up these pictures; they exist. These you know wood forest dwelling beings, like wood Norse, wood woes, wood men, wild men. They go by different names, but you just type that in and you'll see. Or a troglodyte nigger, Niger, troglodyte. That's where that comes from. Okay, crawling on all fours, all kinds of diseases because they're mixing with animals, incest, all that stuff I've talked about plenty of times before, and so we came in to clean that up. And in doing so, what happens when you start digging around in trash and filth. I mean, you get dirty, but this happens on a spiritual level too, especially if you start mixing in. When I say like sexually, there was a slave trade as well. But it was remember the Mann Act, or what's the full name of that? Help me, Professor. What they're putting on all the black entertainers now.
Yeah, it's just a Mann Act.
But it's the White Woman Slave Trade Act. The full name of it, actually.
The White Slavery Act.
Pretty much, but it's specifically for white women. All right. So the reason I'm bringing that up is like you don't. The ships now are airplanes. Okay. It's hard to explain this because some people want it to look exactly like it was taught to you on a TV screen, but when people getting flued out or whatever, like they created that because we're in a cycle again, and they don't like black men being able to have women go into these ships, similar to slave ships, right? The way they drew them up, being able to get their women from all over the world, you know, and and that's why they on some of the more wealthy people. These are the Moors of their era, basically. The Diddy's and the whoever else, whatever black entertainer, they know about Vice. They know what the hell is going on, but they want to make every major black person like that. Um, they want to stop that slave trade in their mind of annihilation.
Earlier, you talked about serpent people. I think you said serpent people. I'm reading
Reptiles eating us.
Oh yeah, I'm reading Zachariah Stinson, his book called uh, the 12th Planet. And Zachariah is an interesting person, but in the Jumbotron, Nikki put a picture out of Zachariah's book that implies some type of battle between man and a serpent person, a winged serpent. Now, if you study history in advanced cultures, there's mention of winged serpents. So I wonder, is that, the whole rip? I don't know. I'm still reading it. I'm new to it, but I wonder, is that what you were talking about?
How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah. So everything is a cycle. That's the crazy thing about this planet is depending on what uh, as you say, meridian, cataract, um, depending on where you are. That's why it's so important to look at the stars and chart where you are, is because you'll know what's happening on a different landmass across the ocean compared to what's happening here, and you know exactly what time. That's very important. But to make it simple is we created these pale skinned beings that don't have a conscience, to fight off the reptilians who want control over this planet. If you don't mind, I can read a passage real quick
Go
that
ahead.
leads
Now,
to that.
what's stopping them from getting control? What's the holdup?
I would say it is. I would say it's. I wouldn't say they don't have control. So if we as the children of the Most High, okay, which we personify as humans, all right, melanin people, okay. If we fall for all of the sins and the vices, specifically through sex. 'Cause I made a post a while ago saying, sex magic is one of the highest um, magics there because it changes your DNA and your thought process. Imagine your mind being rewired. They had to do things with media and uh, the medium and porne and pharmakia and things like that. They're doing everything that they can so they can change our mind so because literally our
What
mind and our perspective can change reality.
I want to quickly expound upon what you said. Bobby Hemmett, and I wish if anybody knows how to contact Bobby Hemmett, DM me. I would love to have a talk with him while he's still living, you know. But Bobby Hemmett said something like this 30 years ago in an interview I watched years ago. Well, Bobby Hemmett said he had an uncle who was married to a Caucasian woman who was into all kinds of stuff. And he says uncle was a nice guy, but he said his the lady died and then the uncle died somehow. And he had a friend, a medium, or maybe it was his girlfriend, I forget, that could channel. And he said that she was getting messages from his uncle who was like, please help me get out of here. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. And he was like, where are you? He was in like just a room somewhere. He didn't make it to a menta or heaven, and he was in just in a sitting in a room somewhere like a holding cell, maybe what the Catholics call purgatory. But long story short, Bobby Hemmett kind of said what you just said. He said that when you get sexually tied up with the wrong group of people, like your spirit gets tied with them and you end up following them in the afterlife. And according to Bobby Hemmett, a lot of these people don't go to the same afterlife that we go to. Bobby Hemmett said they just be sitting, like when they die, they go sit in a room somewhere.
It's ghost stational. They made a movie about it recently called It Follows. If you watch that.
Oh, I heard that one. Where
Hmm.
did his wife go, Professor?
They were all in the same place. Yeah,
It's
it
a
was.
They
it's a
were
ghost
out in the
stational.
room.
It's a poltergeist. It's a ghost stational. Because certain beings can't elevate to to different realms. Basically, the
And they sit
prison
in a.
the prison is
They.
literally your body.
Hold on, what was Wani saying?
I was just saying it. So they sit in a room, like a waiting for lunch to be served, or what?
That's exactly, almost exactly what Bobby Hemmett said. He said when when we die, we have a chance of going to to Amenta, the land, like when churches say Amen. It's like the land of Amenta, which some people refer to heaven. Although I've heard and read that heaven is a different place than Amenta. I don't know if they're the same place. I don't know, but Bobby Hemmett said a lot of these non the people that Freedom's talking about, non-melanated people, he said when they die they go just sit off in a holding cell, like just waiting. And he said his uncle, a fully black man, was trapped in the room with him and was reaching in the afterlife. He was reaching out to, I want to say it's Bobby Hemmings' girlfriend. She was a real powerful psychic. And this sounds like mumbo jumbo, but god dang, I wish I would have recorded a video. I'll talk about it in a minute. But he said that they go off somewhere else and just be sitting in a room, like some type of, he didn't mention food being served, but like basically they were just waiting around somewhere. It wasn't like a full afterlife experience of going and meeting your loved ones and going, you know.
And where did he want to do? Come back
He
or
want
get help going over further?
Good question. He wanted to his uncle wanted to ascend. He wanted to go to the next realm, and he was stuck somewhere that wasn't the next realm. Therefore, he was reaching out to the psychic saying, "Please help me." And Bobby said he got with some priest and had to do Anubis like an Anubis, I forgot the name of it, but it was like an Anubis, like a prison, what do you call it? Like a ceremony to release him. Like, and it was actually kind of beautiful what he said. He was like, "Please, Anubis, guide him to the guide my uncle to the afterlife." His uncle got caught up, tied up with the wrong spiritual entities, and followed them to wherever they went. So I just thought that was very interesting because seemingly we have different natures than other groups of people. On a spiritual sense, it made sense to me, but I can't academically articulate it. But yeah, Wani, he had to do a ceremony. He did, according to Bobby Hemmett, he did release his uncle's soul to, or his uncle's entity to the next realm. But he had to be got just like Freedom said, like Poltergeist, old Poltergeist. They be hiding shit in movies, y'all. Um, he had to release his uncle's soul to the next realm. These people know all about that shit. It was a movie I saw, and those of you 80s babies in here who grew up on Dawson's Creek, y'all remember that shit. It was a movie in the year 2000 called, and I'm gonna be careful what I say because I don't want to mention the name of this entity, this group, because they're very powerful and they don't like to be talked about. But it was a movie called The Skulls that came out in 2000, and it was about uh, a young white guy who went to Yale and was just poor. Both his parents were dead, and he just, he wanted to socially climb. He was real smart, and he didn't have money. He wanted to go to law school. He didn't have the money for it, and he found out that this fraternity, if you join it, you could have whatever you want. And he joined the fraternity and found out they was into all kinds of weird shit. Well, the reason why I bring up this movie is for every time I teach government or constitutional law, I'll show it to my students because most states have a standard that talks about, this Article 2, the executive branch, um, and the standard says it's different in some states, but it says something like, what are the formal qualifications according to Constitution of being president? And the formal are, you got to be 35 years old, you have to be a natural born citizen, you have to be in America for 14 years. Those are formal. Well, the substandard says, what are the, I love that they have it in here. They say, what are the informal qualifications of becoming president? Uh-oh, what does that mean? Well, one of my students said, be real, Dr. A, don't presidents be involved in secret society? So I showed the movie. And the movie, long story short, for years, the last 15 years, I've showed the movie on my Xbox, on a DVD. I want y'all to notice how we don't have control over our movies anymore. Like we used to be able to own a copy, a VHS or DVD and play it whenever the fuck we want it. But now you stream. They have control over what we watch. The movie itself is outside of our hands, right? So, long story short, last semester, one of my students tripped and kicked my Xbox over, and it hit the ground and it's broken. So I can't show the DVD anymore. So I was gonna show it today, and I said, you know what? It's so important. It's such a important movie that I was gonna buy it off of Amazon and just pay $2 and just rent it for the day. Well, let's. The movie itself was written by a Yale graduate, a white dude who was poor, like the main character, and allegedly this white Yale student snuck into these secret. They call them tombs, where they have rituals, and he just hid in the darkness and took notes on what was going on, and he wrote this movie. This dude, after the movie became, got money from Hollywood and got published, that dude died like mysteriously. And well, anyway, long story short, I went to Amazon today and tried to order it. Amazon is damn near $1 trillion company. It's omnipotent. We all know this. And I clicked on the movie in the title, and error came up. It said, "I'm sorry, you can't no longer rent this movie because Amazon no longer has the rights to it." And that shit shocked me. I said, "No longer has the right. Amazon no longer has the rights to it." None of my students heard of it. Like that movie's like being erased from history.
What's the name of the movie,
The
Professor?
Skulls.
Uh, I I
I'm sorry.
I specialize in
I remember that movie, Professor. Hey, what's up,
I
What's
everybody?
up,
I'm
bro?
specialize in
sorry.
finding things.
Hey,
I'll get it
Dude,
to you.
Twitter is fucking with my whole account, bro. I got kicked out. My
why?
account got dropped. I just had to redo a whole account. I don't see no spaces. I can't even see
This
none of
is
y'all who I
new?
follow. It just Twitter just kicked me out. I was in here earlier, and all of a sudden, it just the whole Twitter dropped. It said I had to identify myself. I did that. Oh, this is
And
not
you
you,
don't
and it
even be
just straight
tweeting.
canceled me. No,
Twizzlers
I
don't even
don't.
be tweeting that much because I'll
It
be
just
looking to
kicked
see
me
what you
out.
tweeted, and so it's not like you're harassing nobody on the timeline because you barely even tweet. So I'm
Man,
wondering what's happening.
I just had to figure out my password, do a whole bunch of shit, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. But hey, I'm sorry for the delay, y'all. And Professor, I remember that movie. It had Joshua Jackson and
Right.
that dude who died, that white boy who played in Fast and Furious, Paul
Oh,
Walker.
let, let,
They
let
was
me
in that
let me
movie.
talk about that for a minute. When that movie came out, it came out during my teenage years, and I was obsessed. We all were obsessed with it. And Paul Walker was new. It was right before Fast and Furious One dropped. Well,
He was younger then.
it was real young, and I remember him getting threats doing that movie. He got like death threats and warnings not to do it. Well, what I wanted to add is in that movie when he joined the organization that we're not gonna name in here. Don't say that name, please, on my space. But I hear echo. Hold on, let's see. It may be, but
I just muted. I mean, I'm sorry. I muted somebody. I'm sorry, Twizzle.
yeah, no, it's okay. It was an echo. But anyway, Paul Walker in that movie when he joined the organization is what we're gonna call it. um he got everybody got the car of their dreams, they got the girl of their dreams, they got whatever they wanted. And Paul Walker's one of the main characters, he got a red Porsche, no shit, cherry red Porsche convertible that he was, driving and swerving around in. Years later, guess what he died in? A red Porsche convertible. So, oh, that's a little interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they don't want you watching that movie. You can't. One of my students is really tech savvy. She's like a computer science major, and she said, I'm gonna find the movie." And she looked for it. This girl's resourceful as hell, and she said, "Man, she couldn't find it." She said it's not available for rent anywhere.
Stop playing. I already got it. I have it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have it too on the DVD.
Really? Wait. Okay, so we're gonna have to find out how to do something, how to get certain people to get it, but we'll talk on the back end.
Just look like we're gonna have to go back to bootlegging again.
Well, I didn't.
Go back to when did I leave?
Uh, I didn't know that I had it. I downloaded it on a hard drive 15 years ago and forgot that I did that. And I was able to download the massive file and watch it on the with the USB. But it just shocked me to see that book is. I mean, that movie is becoming ghost. They don't want you. That movie tells a whole lot of secrets. It's very accurate, and it shows how people who run the world, how the world is really ran. And I'm gonna leave it there. Um, but the art we're talking since we're talking about lineage, there's an insinuation, and I tell my ancient world history students all the time that, and I'm gonna be careful how I phrase this. Um, the same people who ran the world in the time of Babylon still run the world now. They just their organizations got different names. You know what I think? I think that the a lot of these organizations are just umbrella organizations for the real the old Babylonian, what me and Wani talk about with the Baal or Baal, how do you say his name?
Ball and Moloch.
All
I can't. I don't know.
all
I mean, we can say it any way we want because who's going to check us on it? I mean, they were saying it a long time ago.
okay, yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, people are still anyway, back to the point before I get off in space. These spiritual entities that Freedom was talking about are still, I think, it's my opinion, I think they still calling the shots and people are involved with them, because when you look at Hollywood and you look at structures, systems of power, these names of powerful politicians and actors and producers still come up. We got in a huge discussion today. I'm in Atlanta now, and one of my brilliant honor students, it triggered another discussion. And one of my brilliant honor students was like, "Dr. A, that makes sense to me." He brought up what's the boy name? I like Playboy Carter's music. But he's like, Playboy Cardi's involved in all that, and Lil Uzi Vert's involved in all that stuff. It's still the same organizations. They just changed their names and they calling
I
shots.
I
You
was.
know what?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say real quick that movie didn't get very. I saw the movie, it was good. It didn't get very good stars. And I think that's deliberate to try to make people not look at it. And it is hard to find. I'll find it though, but it's hard to find.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It tells a whole bunch. In the end, and I'm gonna kind of spoil it a little bit. Um, the young boy got out of trouble. Basically, the movie says that this organization, which is not just one organ, it's an umbrella organizations that I'm not gonna mention on the space. I'm not gonna do it. But they have a rule book, and they say you live by the rules, you die by the rules, and our rules supersede any rules of the outside world. So they ended to settle a dispute with a duel, and it clicked. I was like, oh, there you go. If you think about Alexander Hamilton, ladies and gentlemen, do y'all not know that the founding fathers, I hate that term, but I'm going to use it for the sake of identification. The founding fathers were all involved in a similar organization is common knowledge. And Alexander Hamilton, who was mixed with African lineage, some people say he was a full black man, but I'm gonna leave that alone. He had a white dad though. But Alexander Hamilton, who was verified a member of one of these organizations, um, had a disagreement in the organization. And how did he die? He died in a duel. It's my thesis that we're dealing with the same organization. Ain't
Okay,
nothing changed.
I did find the movie, the collector's edition, $8.92, and you can buy it used for $5.
Yeah, I have the DVD. I mean the Blu-ray, but I guess I need to get a Blu-ray player. I've been
They
using.
have a DVD. Blu-ray is $20, and a VHS tape is $96.
I
Where
can
do where
send
do
you the
we where do
download
we
link.
where do we put the tape up our butts? Where
Yeah,
does the
where you gonna get
VHS tape go?
a? Yeah.
You can find a VHS player, but the thing
My
is, I
uncle
just
still
don't
has
like
a
keeping.
VCR.
I
My
don't
uncle
like
still has a
keeping
No,
that stuff
y'all
in
don't
VCR.
my
be letting
house.
go of nothing.
Yeah, my uncle, he always say he ain't throwing shit away because you never know he may use it again. And he
I
has a
may need to
VCR.
plug this $96 tape in his $32 VHS player.
Man,
How
hey, he
how old is
still
your
has,
uncle?
hey,
How old is
he's
your uncle?
83. He's
Oh, he's
83. He'll
not
be
giving it up.
84 in May.
Your guys, his uncles actually fuck them old folk, man. They smart. But you want to know why? I've said this in other spaces. When I was with the historically black college system, this is 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. Um, the historically black colleges are moving from having books in a library. They're moving everything to electronic media. That's so dangerous. It's dangerous because electronic media can be altered. You know what I think we're moving into, ladies and gentlemen? We are moving into a new society where information is going to be altered. People are going to be asking AI to for information, and as we've already pointed out on ad infinitum, um, AI lies about facts. We're dealing in a war of information. That's where we are right now. So I'm saying it to say, Twizzle's uncle got the right idea of not throwing away any books, not throwing away any media that you can control, because control has been taken out of our hands. Modern cell phones came out when I was in high school and undergrad. And if y'all remember, you used to be able to fucking take the battery out your cell phone. Y'all remember that?
That's those cheap
Yes.
ass Motorola's and those cheap ass other phones. When each time your phone fucked up, you had to take the battery out to reboot it.
Even yeah,
Now Android got the restart button on it now.
but
You
man,
know what? I
go
don't
ahead.
appreciate you talking about things that happened in my past, Twizzle. I don't appreciate
Man,
that.
come on. I
Mm-mm.
had nightmares of check this out, Nikki. Do you remember the Samsungs when they was catching on fire? I had the
Yes.
Samsung Note 7 and I was laying on my bed. I always keep my phone on my bed because if it's on my dresser, I won't hear it when it's ringing. So I'm just laying there sleeping, like dreaming, gumdrops, lollipops, and all this shit. All of a sudden, I roll over, it burnt the shit out of me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Then next thing I look on the news and I get an email that Note 7s are exploding. If you have a Note 7, you have to turn them in right
I
now.
remember
So
that.
These
that was the
phones are
last
doing
Android I
everything.
had.
These
Yeah,
phones are doing everything to us, kicking our ass, burning us up in the bed,
I
those
would have
Note
kept that
7s, they
thing
were
and turned it
and
exploding
into
I'm
on
my
people
still
though.
laying up
attorney.
with it.
I would have
They
kept
were
it and
really
turned it into
exploding
my
on.
attorney.
I turned it in and got my first iPhone, the iPhone 6, and I ain't looked back
I would have
since.
got paid off that shit, Twizzle. But the point, before we lose the point of me bringing that up is, ladies and gentlemen, we no longer have control over our electronic devices. My iPhone 14 died. I mean, died. Battery was gone, and I lost it. And I was like, oh fuck, and I got on my laptop and hit find my iPhone, and it still was on. It was off to me, but
Wait,
it.
your battery died and then you lost the phone. I got confused. I
Anything
missed
with
one
an
of the
antenna,
steps.
anything with an antenna can pull from the ionosphere.
My my battery died, like it was real dead.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it fell out my pocket in my truck. I didn't realize it
Oh.
in a little crevice. I couldn't. I thought I lost it. I thought it was stolen.
I know you was hella
Oh,
bad.
I was freaking.
But
Men
Professor,
can't keep up with them
But
phones. I don't know
check
what's
this
wrong
out,
with men.
hold,
Professor. This is what Apple
hold on one
do.
second, Twizzle.
Yeah.
I
What?
went to. I'm gonna come to you, Twizzle. I hit find my iPhone on my laptop. My point is, we think shit is off. We think we turning shit off. Nothing goes off. It's spying on you the whole goddamn time. That shit was dead, but it still was on. It just was dead to me. Cell phones don't go off. They just put on a show for you, like turning off. But it's no, nigga. It's turning off to you. It's on for Big Brother, if y'all know what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's for Big Brother, and Mr. Freedom was correct because a few weeks ago, my phone just did some whole broken thing, but the antenna was still working. The antenna was still
Yeah.
working, and so he's correct about they're getting signals through the antenna. He's correct about that.
So I have schematics on this type. I like. I don't talk about it, but I really I collect that kind of information. So um, but look, I'm gonna post something later. Give me a second. I wish I knew about the subject. To the professor, um, I know you have a thirst for this kind of knowledge, and I could tell you how to get to it. But you might not want to go there.
Why not? Why not? That's what I want to hear. Why not?
Well,
Is it
most people can't mentally take it. Most people can't mentally take it. You know what I'm saying? Um,
What?
and then, yes, it is protected.
I apologize. I was scrolling the thing. I
Oh,
apologize. Unmute yourself,
can't
Mr.
mentally
Freedom.
Oh,
can't
yeah, it is protected. You
can't
don't.
mentally take what?
You can't handle the truth.
Which ones?
what's the truth? Come on with it. What's the
I
No,
truth?
no,
can,
no.
but I can run later.
He doesn't know who he's talking to. He doesn't
I
know who
always
he's
want to know
talking
what the
to.
topic is, guys.
I think you got an idea, Twizzle. Um,
Come
you know what I'm
on, it's
saying?
too cryptic.
Nah, it's so much. It's too much.
Let me
Ooh.
tell you something real
Well,
quick. Let me give you a
back
little game,
channel
young
one of
man. Let
us.
me give you a line of gram. Never tease hungry people with steaks. You sparked our
Now I want to
curiosity now,
know.
so you got to give a little something. Yeah, now you're gonna have people with a problem with you now because you're not telling, especially
No,
these ladies in
I
here. They about to
I
cuss
did
you
tell
out
him.
in a
I did
minute. You
tell
know
him
what I
one of the
mean?
ways to get to it.
You tease it. You don't tease no woman. You don't tease no woman with something. Now they
I was
about to
talking
kick
to the
your ass, especially
professor.
Ronnie. She looking for
They
smoke.
and Wani and
But you got other
Mickey
people in
jumped me.
here.
But
Yeah, they gonna jump your ass again if you don't
so
tell them what time it is. And I
so
can't help you,
We'll
professor,
bro.
just
this is
squeeze
the
the.
way
I
I'm
don't
gonna
When you
want
send
that
tell
this
the
to
smoke.
you.
professor, we'll squeeze him.
I'm gonna send this to you, but this should click to you when I tell you this, okay, Professor? Listen to me closely.
Okay.
This is an area I work in. All right, people that work in. When I say work, I'm saying I know so many people in this realm. When you go into private equity, venture capitalism, all that kind of stuff, you find out why people have insurance policies for getting abducted and all that kind of weird little. Why would you even pay money for that, right? Um, People who do R&D, research and development. You mentioned one of those companies that does that, Amazon, right? You know their logo.
Yep.
You flip it upside down. You know overlay it orthographic. Isometric. You know negative. You'll see it's that same entity, right? Um,
No, I've never known that. What's
take
the
the
Amazon
A.
logo?
Take the A. You flip it upside down. It
Uh-huh.
overlay isometric orthographic. You'll see. Um, so people that do R&D,
I, uh,
you
I
got it,
got what you
Swizzle.
said. I peeped
Um,
it. Yeah, I peeped it.
hmm So, everything's upside down and backwards. That's what I'm saying. I just used a bunch of words to say the same thing. Uh, R&D. Google is R&D as well. There's a military class that does R&D, and they have access to everything. I will share you one of their IDs. It's almost like people that have non-prosecution agreements. They can do all manner of crime. They have access to everything. 100%. more than some generals. Okay, these are the spooks, the real spooks. These are spooks inside of the spooks. Okay, so that's one of the entryways. Other people is people that know millions of years worth of knowledge. They're allowed as well. But it does something to you. You got to watch what you're asking for. You got to watch what you're asking for. You're somewhat close to some things, but some I was going to later on. If you'll indulge me, I'll read to you a little bit about exactly what's happening. I won't mention some of the organizations. I have a artful way of not saying that. I'll respect it, but I'll read a short passage to explain to you some of what's happening. But I can't. It's definitely important not to say what has and what's going to happen. It cannot be spoken.
I just flipped the Amazon logo. I didn't see it. Somebody help me out. Give me a hint. I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I tell you about it, Professor. It's what he's saying is true. If we say something about that right now, I guarantee you, some people will come knocking on our doors in black cars, black vans, and black a bunch of
Oh,
shit. It's certain things we can say, certain things we can't say, because there's certain things that's not supposed to be knowledgeable and known to the public. You know what I'm saying? He's saying some real serious shit, and I don't want no black helicopters over my house.
it's
I done
that
seen them
deep.
black vans before, and I'm scared to death of them motherfuckers. Them black Crown Victorias, man, I'm scared to death of them.
You know,
He talking about letters. He
yeah,
talking
that,
about
that was my whole
letters.
life.
You know
That's
what I'm
how.
saying?
That's how. I. You know.
hmm
Yeah.
I'm from the street, so I know how to pick up on certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were like secret agents. We was like James Bond, Jason Bourne. We knew how to creep and how to be sneaky and all kind of shit. So we have to pick up on subliminals. You know what I'm saying? And his subliminals that he's saying, I'm kind of get what he's saying. It's like it's only leading to one thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's people that's losing their lives over that.
Well,
And
I know
man, fuck
about
that.
Google. If you look at Google, there are three numbers in Google Chrome. It's in your face, but you can guess what the three numbers are. But I don't. I'm not. Somebody DM me the Amazon thing because I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Freedom. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was saying I'll email. I'll send over everything. I'll send you the link so you could download the video. Uh, I'll I'll send you the
We
logo.
could talk baseball
Uh,
now. Yeah, we could
Got
talk
it. Got it.
baseball
Okay,
now.
we're gonna move on to your mom's favorite. What's up? What's up? Your mom's favorite. What's up?
Is going to mention that if you don't want anyone to find your phones and stuff like that, we have sleeves in the business I'm in. I've signed a lot of NDAs, introduced a lot of things to the market in America as well as internationally. So a lot of products we're not allowed to talk about, or when we introduce them, they can't have their cell phones and stuff. So I would just suggest getting sleeves if you don't want anybody knowing what you're doing and where you're moving. That will be the best way to move.
Where can I find this sleep?
Yeah, that
It's
I'll
called
put it in
something
Jumbotron.
sleeve.
Hmm.
I'll put it in the
Yeah.
Jumbotron.
It
There's
blocks
several. It
entry
depends on the.
points.
Yeah, it blocks everything. All communication, location, all that stuff.
Yeah, these are
So
spine.
I'll put it in the
These are spine devices. Back in one of my other lives, well, let's just say when I worked for the government, I signed up. I had the brilliant idea to sign up for let's just say a position in intelligence, and it was top secret crypto. And I signed the paperwork for them to do a background check on me for my top secret crypto clearance. And man, my wife's cell phone would come on in the bed in the middle of the night. I was smart enough to leave my cell phone out the room, but her camera would come on. Like these people, these phones are spying devices. I'm sure of it. They privacy is gone. It don't exist anymore.
You got to cover up your camera. That's one thing.
Right?
especially on your computer and laptop, you got to do that
No
for
cap.
sure. Uh, That's what I want to tell you, Professor. One thing about Apple with these iPhones, whenever they're coming out with a new iPhone, like the iPhone 16 that just came out, when they come out with that new iPhone 17, the previous iPhones before, they send some type of signal out to where they slow your iPhones down and they slow the product of your iPhone and the service so they could think that so it would make you think that your phone is going bad. So that will force you to go get the new 17 that's coming out. I know hella people that work for Apple because the Apple Center is only, I mean, Apple headquarters is only like 20 minutes from where I live at. So I know hella people that work for them, and they always said that. They say they do that to make you buy a new phone because it make you think that your phone is old, so they want you to go buy a new one to keep up with the technology that's coming out right now. But all actuality, they only slow like the old phones down for a few months. Then after the phone come out for a few more months, then all of a sudden your phone started working back normal again. So that's the bullshit Apple do just so they could try to get people to buy a new phone or their new product or their new watch and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably what might have happened to your 14. Because I know when the 16 came out, they was slowing hella people down. So they probably did yours like that, probably to persuade you to upgrade and get a newer model. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? But that's what Apple do. You know
that
what I
shit
mean?
worked because I got a 16 and yeah, it worked. It's smart. We're gonna go to Miss Stacy and then Snowflake. Go ahead, Stacy.
Hey y'all, everybody in the room. How y'all doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Peace.
Just sorry. No, just laying back in my lounge chair. My new gift I got for myself for my birthday and being comfortable. But I'm listening to you guys. I don't as far as that question, I don't know enough. Just came in the room a little while ago, so I'm a little late. So I apologize. But when I heard Twizzle talking about the VCR,
Aura.
I've had to.
Aura.
That's a joke. Somebody used to say VCR, but I used to say aura when I was little, and when I moved from LA up to Sacramento, I got teased really bad, and I didn't understand. I was like, "What do you mean?" They were like, "Why you say aura?" I was like, "What
I
do you
thought that was
mean?"
from
What
Arkansas.
is it with you so but no, SoCal people have like a little
That's
southern
why.
From
accent. I
Because
Texas,
don't
they're
know what it
from the
is, but
South.
from
southern no,
Texas.
but Southern California people, a lot of southern like a lot of people from LA,
Yeah,
they
They're
have
from
like a
the
little
South.
southern accent. Even people born and
It
raised in
doesn't
LA two
matter.
generations, they still have that
It's still
yeah,
accent,
being
you
we
handled
know?
by
did.
people from the South, though.
Yeah, we did.
And like I understand you SoCal, but you motherfuckers don't gotta act like y'all from the South.
What?
I'm just talking shit.
Whatever. No, but we do. And it was my grandparents on my mom's side from Texas, so had that. So I didn't understand like why are you talking about what? Yeah, it's aura. Yeah, right. And it was like why you say aura? I was like, what do you mean? That's yeah. And I didn't get the reference they were talking about. And finally, I said, what am I supposed to say? She said, it's R. And I was like, it took me a long time to
I
break that
thought that
habit.
was in Arkansas, but I guess it's in
Just
other
south.
places nearby.
Y'all,
It's just
I'm from Alabama.
Hey,
My elementary school teachers would say aura, aura.
yeah, Aura. Because you gotta specify the letter.
with the rut at the end,
Yeah,
with the
because
rut at
you're
the
saying
end.
the letter, not the word. Anyway,
The
but
pronunciation. That's why they talk about people in California because our pronunciations are a little bit more pronounced than some other, yeah, I should say, demographics of the country. Like how
yeah,
West Coast accent, Southern accent, Southwest, I mean Southeast accent, Northeast accent, and Midwest accents. I can pick up on all of them if I hear a conversation long enough, and I can tell where you're from. But the most funniest and most fucked up accent to me is the motherfuckers from New England,
Oh,
Massachusetts,
that's
New
cold
mhm.
blooded.
Hampshire. They can't say R, they say ah.
Oh,
Oh
that's
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
cold.
Like
yeah, that's
ah, like
Ha
off the
annoying.
ha.
bus, like ah.
There's this
That's
Good
cold blooded.
annoying.
fucking lad. Yeah, they can't say it for
Oh,
shit,
you
and I died
dogging.
laughing.
It's so annoying.
I worked with a chef from Boston, and he couldn't say streets. He couldn't say R's for shit. He like the parking lot in the street. You want to go
What's
ahead,
wrong
man?
with
He
them?
couldn't say for
Ugh,
shit,
I
and we
don't.
used to die laughing at him.
Yeah, I get
And
called
you know his
proper.
shit.
I get told I speak
Well,
proper. I was in DC.
I
that's
get
my
that
I
too.
was
impression.
in DC.
That's my
Yeah, I was in DC a couple of years ago visiting my friend, and she everywhere we went, she had everybody guessing where I was from. And I was like, "Why you keep doing that?" She said, "Guess where she from?" And I was like, "She's like, say something." I'm like, "What do you want me to say?" And they was like, West Coast." I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they
"Whatever."
say we talk white. They say we talk white
Yeah,
Well,
out
well,
here.
but
people from the Bay, like where Twizzle area, y'all sound different to me. But so Southern Cali people like Wani, y'all don't really have an accent to me. Y'all just talk real proper.
right, we don't. I don't have no accent. So I don't know
Didn't
what
I
we
just
talking
say
about.
it
Oh,
proper? Didn't I just
I
say
gotta
that?
fix that.
Hey, Professor.
We
Hey, Wanda.
enunciate. We
Do you say
enunciate.
car? Do you say car or car?
I say car.
Sure.
I say car.
I say
I say
I
car.
say car. I say
That's just my
car. I'm
street
riding in
accent.
my
Yeah,
car. My
my
car.
street accent.
We
I'd
go
be
to
like,
a
where the fuck my
party. No, I'm
car
playing. Let
at?
me stop.
Party,
Go
yeah.
sit in my car, or I got a joint in my car, or let's go park my car. But then if I'm proper, I'm like, there go my car over there. You know what I mean? Go sit in the car, or go park your car over there in that parking lot. They only charge a
To
dollar
to
for an
me,
hour. You
people
know what I
from the
mean?
Bay sound like Too Short. Like it just sound everybody sound like Too Short. Even you.
Too Short sound like us. Too Short's from LA. He came to the Bay when he was 14. Too Short
Oh,
sound
okay.
like us. He got turned out by the West Oakland players, and that's when he learned his game. As he say, he got his game from
The
Oakland. You know what I mean? What Tariq say? He got his game
the
from
the funny
Oakland. You
the
know what I'm
Twizzle, the
saying?
funny shit about y'all up there in the Bay Area, it seemed like y'all all talk like pimps.
Because they
That's why it's
are.
called the land of
Talk
players,
like
man. We
They
the land
are.
of
They
they
are
players.
are
pimps up
pimps.
there. Mm-hmm.
You know what my daddy told me? My daddy told me because my daddy was in the movie The Max. So I asked him, I'm like, Dad, was you a pimp? He said, No, I never pimped, but I never turned down whore's money. You know what I'm saying?
See, and that's pimp right there. But no, I
It's the
was saying,
difference between a pimp and a
I
player.
was.
I mean, a pimp need a woman, a player is living his life. But go ahead,
What do
Queen.
you,
Oh no, I was just saying when y'all was talking about like the phones. I did have an iPhone once. I got it. It was like free. They had just came out with the. This tells you how long ago it was.
And you
When
gave
you
it up?
mentioned about when you mentioned about the other phones, the Nokia's, that was the first phone, and yeah, I used to could take the batteries out. But I had it was they had just come out with the iPhone 5, so they gave me a free iPhone 4. So I took 4S, I think, and once it started slowing down, I had it for about a year. It started slowing down, and I knew they were just trying to get me to upgrade. So I switched back to Android. And I still have an Android. I saw that thing on the news one time where some girl had it on her chest. It exploded, and she had a big nasty burn. And so ever since then, because I would fall asleep with my phone in the bed too. Now I put it on my headboard away from me, but I have a VCR still. It's up in my closet, but I took it down just to take a picture and posted it in the purple pill.
A
So, yeah,
VCR or a VCR?
Keep it.
I got a
Keep it. Keep it.
VCR.
Because you
Oh,
Aura?
never know
And
what,
that's
VCR.
you never know. Yeah.
that's why I
Keep
still
it.
have
That's
it. And I
history.
got tapes. I
Yeah.
have that. I have a Blu-ray disc player still. I still have my old pager. I don't throw nothing
Uh-oh.
away
You know
either.
what?
If
Shame
it's
on you.
major,
You got
hit
an
Damn.
me
old
on my
pager.
page up.
I
Ring
have
it,
it.
ring it, ring
I'll
it.
don't let me
Man.
pull it up and I will take a picture and post it.
Do you
I'm
remember
gonna
the
go get
code? Do you remember the
I'm gonna
code
go
six
I
play
nine
some
and all that
Biggie
other
music.
stuff?
I'm gonna play Biggie while you go get your
I
right. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Look, it was funny. I remember if in order to get somebody to call you, if you had some news, you would page them with 411 or
411,
9, or
yeah.
if it was something that was real. Like I
It-
had a friend, my best friend, she would forget, and I would page her. And if she didn't call me back right away, if it was important, I would page her 911, and that would get her to call me back. She's like, "Oh, what happened?"
Do you still remember how to page?
I believe so. Yeah, you dial the number, put your number in, and press pound, put your little
You
codes
dial the
in,
number,
and
you
then
wait for the number to
It's
beep,
too
then you put your
awkward.
number
I
with the
remember
codes at the end.
143. Hey, I remember 143. Me and my boyfriend used to ex-boyfriend, but used to, put the 143 in our pager.
Wow.
We thought we was doing something.
E- Every man in here was waiting for that 6 9 at the end.
Oh, I didn't do that one.
All right, we're gonna go to Doctor Your Highness and then housing. Go ahead, Your Highness.
Hello.
Hey,
Peace, y'all. Peace, Wani.
hey,
Peace,
hey.
peace, Professor Allen. Peace, everybody in the room. I just wanted to touch on a few things. I was just talking to my husband yesterday about how we need to start collecting the hard copies of our music, movies, because I just see like in the future, I don't know how long this AI is gonna last because it's harming the earth. I don't know. Like we seen the movie, the what was the name of that movie? Uh
I Robot.
No, not iRobot. The one with the other one with no, not the Terminator. Well, yeah, that one too.
The
The
Matrix.
Matrix. And remember how the ones who was living in the real world, they were really like detached from the system, which kind of reminds me of like AI. They were detached. And the ones who were in the Matrix world, they were attached. So I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna come to that point where we're gonna have to like make a decision, and we're gonna have to like detach from the system in order to like literally survive. But um, I also wanted to say how technology is changing and they're lying about history. So that's another reason why we have to get these hard copies of these encyclopedias, these just all of these historical books so that we can take hold on to it because for example, Chicago has a very deep rich history, right? So AI likes to create this narrative like black Americans, we just like came from like the ghost, like some type of ghostly area, and we like showed up in the 60s, right? um Mass immigration didn't happen until like the 1840s, but they used to have these things in Chicago called world fairs. And then that's also tying into is FBA lineage older than African in lineage, because we have created things that people use all over the world. It just amazes me how we come from that. Our bloodline comes from people who created the light bulb, the doorknob, the mop. Like these are things, the table counters. These are things that people use all over the world. So it's something about our lineage, number one. Number two, these world fairs was in 1840s. Now if you Google it, they like to call it the Columbian um expedition or something like that. Mass immigration happened in the 1840s, but what they don't tell people is that black Americans was living in Chicago in the 1800s. Some in like the late 1700s. So, if these world fairs were in the 1840s, if you can Google online, look it up. Look up the Chicago World Fairs in Chicago in the 1800s. These monuments, these huge buildings, they're saying that black Americans didn't build them and that they were like I think like some like Spaniards, but it just doesn't make sense because immigration happened.
Spaniards? No, not Spaniards.
Spanish, they're
No, 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 no,
saying
no, no, no.
they're calling it the Colombians, or they're basically saying it's some type of they're saying that they didn't black Americans had nothing to do with the architecture in Chicago, which doesn't make sense because we were here in the 1800s. So I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to
In
look.
fact, that World Fair is why we can lay claim to. I forget which music genre it is, but the creator of it played at the World Fair, and then the white people heard it and tried to run somewhere and record it, but it was too late because he already played it at the World Fair and got credit for creating that style of music. I gotta look it up what it is.
Yeah, but it's some.
Was it blue? It was jazz, I
Was
think.
it jazz? I can't remember.
Because
Or form
yeah, it
of
was jazz
jazz.
because it wasn't accepted here, so he went over there to Great Britain with it, and they loved
Oh,
it
Buddy
over there.
Bolden?
I forgot his
Buddy
name, but
Bolden
they made a
is the
movie.
one
It
who.
was a black man.
So
Yeah.
in history, they like to talk about Black Americans in a context. They do like admit that Black Americans lived in Chicago in the early 1800s, but they kind of like play down the significance of the people who lived here, and a lot of them were not like poor people either. Like they came here, and a lot of them had money and they had huge homes. So it's like, who built those homes? If immigration came in 1840 and you had black Americans living there in the 1800s, there's historical records of fights that they was having with the black Americans at that time, like in the early 1800s. I mean, they were, terrorizing them as well. It makes me, and then they were actually living, like if you guys go to Chicago and like where downtown is, that's where the black Americans were living. So who built up all those, like to call them Tartarian buildings? Who built those buildings if the Black Americans was living there before the immigrants came in the 1840s? Who built them?
Uh-oh, she said it.
Yeah, that
Well,
we had that there was this great fire in Chicago. Who rebuilt the city after those fires in
And why did
Chicago?
the fire happen? Like, why did the fire? Because the fire happened before the immigration thing happened. So I feel like something happened to where that fire destroyed records. It destroyed something that the Black Americans was doing in Chicago. And I'm trying to look it up, but it's the history is very obscured. But we were not just Black.
You would have to go to the city hall to get those records because the city hall got all of those, and they would have the blueprints of the original. They would have the original blueprints of the structures and the foundations and everything. So you would have to go to city hall to get those
well, she
records.
woke something up when she, Dr. Johannes, and if you got pictures, please put them in the jumbotron because I've seen pictures and I've not been able to find them since on TikTok. They got taken down right away talking about which, and I'm so glad you woke that up because she talked about Tartarians. That fits into the second part of our topic. Were the Anunnaki real? Well, Zachariah Stinson, the great writer, um, had wrote a bunch of books, and he said this is Zachariah Stinson's theory. He said that there's a planet on elliptical orbit with Earth, the 12th planet. It's called Nibiru. And he said this planet goes outside of, it's elliptical, and the gravity is different. The gravity is different. It's lighter than planet Earth. And his theory is very fascinating. If you look at real history, it's fascinating because he said on this planet that crosses paths with us, listen to this shit, every 11,700 years, it comes in close proximity, comes in view of planet Earth. He said this planet is inhabited by a group of people who are humanoid, but they're gigantic, 14 feet tall. They're referred to as the Anunnaki. Well, they're an advanced people. Um, Zachariah said that they messed up their similarly like what we're
Atmosphere.
atmosphere, and they messed it up, and the solar rays was like killing them. They were dying out, and they figured out that gold has a very and it does. Gold has a very strange property. You can take a little bitty piece of gold and spread it out like I could take a little bitty dime sized piece of gold and melt it down and spread it out over a large area. The Air Force does that with the F-22 and on the cockpits to protect from solar radiation at high altitude. But anyway, according to Zachariah Stinson, the Anunnaki needed gold because they were taking it in large quantity and spraying it in their high ionosphere to protect their planet from solar radiation because they fucked up their ozone layer or whatever. And he said they identified that there was a planet real close to the sun that had high quantities of gold. That was planet Earth. And he said they sent a group of people, a group of Anunnaki, which referred to as the winged ones, to planet Earth to mine gold. I forget the name of the sub race, but it's another race on their planet. Their name escapes me, but it was another race that's similar to the Anunnaki, big, tall people who were enslaved. They went and had a big war aeons ago, and they lost the war and they became slaves. And they sent those group of alien people to planet Earth to work as slaves to mine gold. Well, um, according to Zachariah Stinson, the Anunnaki got in another war with that alien group. The alien group came to Earth and rebelled against them, and the Anunnaki still needed gold to protect Nibiru. And the Anunnaki got a brilliant idea of listen, this shit is wild. They mixed their DNA, wanting what were they call hominids, like the early human beings.
Yep.
They mixed their Anunnaki DNA with the pre-human hominids on planet Earth to create a race of people smart enough to become a race of slaves to mine gold, and that worked flawlessly until the other group, the Anunnaki's other foe alien race, start mixing their DNA to create their own hominid race. Well, anyway, according to Zachariah Stinson, the Anunnaki fell in love with some of the females that were created, the human females, and start having sexual relations with them. That story matches the story in the Bible of the Nephilim.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so
They're tall and they like to have sex with women and make gigantic babies, and no one knows where the babies come from.
nobody
Those
knows.
guys.
Their heads are different. Well, in the Bible, it says the sons of God met the daughters of men, and they were fair. Um, like Zechariah said that in that biblical story. No offense to my Christian people in here, but that biblical story, the Bible is not as old as the Vedas, and the Vedas has a similar story. The Vedas got the story of Noah in there. Well, anyway, Zechariah argues that these stories were originally the story of the Anunnaki, and they kind of got jumbled, like that game Radio, where stories get kind of mixed up. Well, anyway, the question I'm asking, were the Anunnaki real? Because when you look back at history, as I do in my day job, you find out that the whole lust for world domination has been about what? Gold. What was Columbus looking for? Gold. Who was Columbus on a mission to find gold for? The Catholic Church.
Go. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Gold.
For the
There
monarchy.
you go.
And who do they worship?
Yeah. So Juan, could you put those pictures I texted you in there? Now
Uh,
we're talking in the jumbotron. The picture of the skull and the picture of the Catholic priest. So and the picture of Osiris, if I sent it to you. Well, that's a bunch of woo woo that certain people would get mad at. But let's talk some scientific fact. We're about to put a picture in the jumbotron. It's interesting that I put the name Anunnaki in my title and my jumbotron don't work. Like somebody don't want me sharing shit. But anyway, um there are skulls in Egypt and in Peru that are in museums. I got a fucking picture we're about to put in the jumbotron of.
the Paracas skull is the one I can't do. I don't know what's wrong with my phone. It doesn't work like that on my phone.
Wow.
Are you able to post it in the chat?
No, my chat it won't
You're
let me
not
do.
able to post it in the chat. Oh my God. Hold
Yeah,
on.
isn't that ironic? I can send it to
Can I
Nikki.
say something real quick, Professor? I just think it's
Yeah,
so.
you can. I
Go
do.
go ahead,
I
love.
just
Yeah.
think it's so weird though that you speak of this and like on the south side of Chicago, they have this statue. I just posted it in the jumbotron, and it's like this 20-foot tall statue. It looked like an angel, but it kind of looked like a Greek god, and it's all gold. And that's like the statue where the World Fair was. That's where they had the world, where all the immigrants were coming to see the World Fair. It was there. It was right there on the south side of Chicago with this huge gold tall statue made out of gold. It's still there today. I drive past it all the time. If you just look in the jumbotron, you'll see it. But I think that's so odd, crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Nikki, I put it in the chat. The picture. That's one of them. Another two I'm gonna put is of Osiris. But my point is, ladies and gentlemen, is we have in 2025 actual skulls, which I think DNA analysis. Wani can correct me on this. It's not my area of expertise. But Wani, wasn't DNA analysis done on those skulls, and they
Yes. On the Paracas skull, it was inconclusive and it had all kind of European and DNA and DNA from stuff they don't know what it is. The skull is 25% heavier than a human skull. There's multiple skulls, so you can't say it's just a mutated human being. It's missing one of the sutures down the center of the skull, which every human being needs to be a human being. The eye sockets are humongous, so it doesn't have eye sockets like us. Again, since the other wrapped up mummies have the same features, you cannot say that it's one mutated person. So it's a lot of them. They really have discovered an alien group, and this group was ruling an area in Peru, and they were not human. They had those skulls, they had those gigantic eye sockets, they had the skull covered up, and I mean, this is a humongous skull. You can't fake the funk with a skull that's 25% heavier than a human being. You can't fake the funk when you don't have certain sutures on your skull. You cannot fake the funk with gigantic eye sockets. So, yeah, we have already proven that some creature, a creature lady, was the queen down there, and she had others around her that had those same features. And like I was telling the professor earlier, the stage of development that people are at, they will look at someone like her like she's a god. But if that long-headed lady walked down the street in front of us, we would think that was an alien. We wouldn't think she was God. We would think this, what in the hell? What spaceship did you get off of? We would not accept her as human, and we would not think she was God. So that's why you're not going to see a lot of them, because our development is where they can't just blend in and trick us into thinking that they're God. We're not able to be tricked like that. We're too sophisticated. So I don't know what they're going to really do.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nikki put in a jumbotron. Click on that and look at those skulls. These are real, and they're in several places, like when Wani said in Peru, where they had ancient, hyper advanced civilization. They got pyramids there that are perfectly aligned to the stars. Nobody knows how the fuck they were built. Some of these skulls were in Egypt. I have a friend, I forgot. Maybe it was Wani. I don't know. Somebody told me they went to Egypt and or maybe it was Billy Carson went to Egypt, and it was Billy Carson went to Egypt and went on a one of those tours that's not open to the public, and they took up cell phones and they were like, look at these mummies, and all the mummies had an elongated head skull. The skull had an elongated head. Look at those real skulls in the jumbotron and tell me with a straight face that those are human. Now, they did talk about this when I was in grade school, and the explanation they gave is that the Mayans thought that a elongated skull was attractive, so they would put a board on children's head when they were born and form their head that way. But it's bullshit because, like Wani said, that suture that's in babies' heads, that that little soft spot, is not there. That skull was like that when they were born. So
Right. People did wrap their heads, but they wrapped them to look like those guys that naturally had it like that.
right. So here goes the thing. Here goes the thesis that I kind of picked up on, and I'm not going to take credit for it. David Icke said this first. He argued, if you look at history, the quest for new land, the quest for the new world, quote unquote, was all motivated by gold, which Zachariah Stenchen said the Anunnaki needed to save their world. Well, we know that Columbus was sent by the Catholic Church. Look at the headdress that the leader of the Catholic Church has to wear. It's elongated. Is he hiding something? Well, that's a very interesting thing to think about, because if the story of the Anunnaki is true, then it's possible that these entities could still be on planet Earth in high positions, calling all the shots in plain sight, and we're all enslaved and we don't know it. Last thing I'm gonna say, I'm still reading Zachariah Stenchen's book, but what fucking blew my mind as a licensed historian is Zachariah Stenchen put the last visit of the Anunnaki 11,700 years ago, which, remember, he claimed that Nibiru is on elliptical orbit with Earth. And it passes by Earth every 11,700, damn to the number, 700 years. All right, let's look at history. What happened 11,700 years ago? The Younger Dryas, the Ice Age, which scientists have proved there was some great cataclysm that no everybody say it's a comet. We don't know what the fuck it was, but it was dramatic. There are areas in the Midwest going going towards where's wherever Yellowstone National Park is. Archaeologists have dug up bones, whole miles worth of fields full of gigantic elephants. There were elephants in America, and fucking gigantic woolly mammoths and stuff who are blown to bits. Like it's almost like something happened, so like a bomb or something happened so dramatic that they were blown apart. They know they were blown apart because their body parts are charred, and they found remnants of food that was not digested in their stomach. So they were out there chomping on some grass, and some said boom and blew them to pieces. In this same area, they found a cave that had a early man in the same cave, hiding in the he died in a corner, hiding in the corner, cowering in fear, and right next to him was a fucking saber-toothed tiger who was hiding in the corner, cowering in fear. The saber-toothed tiger did not attack the man. They both were running away from something, right? So what if the yeah, buddy, and this is science. This ain't woo woo. This is historical fact. Well, what if Zachariah Ascension is right? And the last time the Anunnaki were here visiting in mass, a war broke out between certain groups. And that war was so dramatic, those bombs on a scale equatable but much more stronger than nuclear weapons disrupted the world's atmosphere so hard that it triggered an ice age. We don't know what's going on, do we?
Professor, check your messages.
Yeah, can I say something?
I'm up here talking through a mute. Yeah. While I check my messages, Doctor, Your Highness, land your plane, and next is housing. I'm gonna go ahead and check my message. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just talking to my geography professor. Uh, I was in class basically, and she was just talking about climate change and how we were looking at this map of the world, and it was showing that that's my son. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
It was showing like the changes of climate change from like the, I guess like the 1500s all the way up until now. And so they're noticing that climate change, like the heat is heating up at the North Pole at the top. And it's just strange because as it's heating up, it's melting. And then that's what's like, because I guess heat rises. So they're trying to say that I guess us having all this activity, all these factories, all this stuff going on is causing this heat to rise and is melting the caps at the North Pole. So something is happening, something is shifting. We don't know what it is, but they like to say that it started they like to say that things started like, I guess, from the ice age. I guess we started from the ice age, and so now things are changing. The ice is melting up there. I'm talking about it went from like looking blue to like red right now. So I don't know what's going on, but things are heating up and we don't really know why. I think I do, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. Well, I put Nikki. It's gonna put if you don't mind, Nikki, put that other picture in the jumbotron. Um, Another picture is going in jumbotron is older than the skulls I have up there. It's a painting, a drawing of
It's in the jumbotron. Scroll over one.
oh wow.
It's in the
Oh,
jumbotron.
thank you.
You see
It's
it?
already my
Hmm.
they got my jumbotron fucked. I can't look. I can barely see. It's a tiny picture. I see it. Thank you, Nikki. But if you look at a picture of Osiris, look at his head. He has on elongated headdress. And if you look at the who is that? That's Bess, the god Bess. Um he has an elongated head. This is a theory. It's just a theory. What if Zachariah Stinson, who was very mysterious and got in trouble with the government for talking. What if Zachariah Stinson is right? And what if we were visited a long time ago by a group of beings from another plane, I mean, from a whole nother world, that just kind of colonized the world on a search for gold? And what if the planet is really under control of a whole nother group of entities, very wise, very out technology is way past what we know, and we're just here as part of a slave colony or an experiment? If that's true, a lot of things would make sense.
Professor, you mind? I'm gonna let somebody else go, but I'm gonna raise my hand. But just I have a passage I'd like to read that will kind of answer all of that.
Before you do, I looked at your the thing, the picture, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And all these organizations, all roads lead back that way, brother. They all lead back to
You
that.
see who's
Yep.
under direct authorization of though?
That organization, you mean?
No, it said it's this person is under the direct authorization of. That's how it starts off.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. Ooh wee. That is a mess. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it all goes back. I was, man, and you know what? I'm not talking about that shit. I'm not talking about that shit either.
Now, do I have to boycott Amazon? Because I'm not going to do it.
No.
No. Look, this is yeah. There's a
I'm
war
just putting
happening
it.
on.
I've already boycotted everything. I cannot boycott Amazon. So we're going to have to do some smudging on Amazon or tell them to stop being bad or demonic or whatever they're doing because I won't have anywhere to get stuff.
What I'm not understanding is that the picture of the ID, the military ID you sent me. Who is that? Give me a hint.
Um, I'd have to. I don't think that person is identified directly because things have to be declassified. Um, but it gives a reference on the second picture that I gave you as to where that would be issued from and what department. Um, but for
Wow.
it to be sitting online, it's so old that it's declassified. You see what I'm saying? Um,
Mm.
but it gives you a hint as to the type of people, and that's why I mentioned the type of organizations
Oh
that are
yeah,
trying to do this.
I'm not talking about that shit. I've seen those guys in operation, and they not. Yeah, we don't know what that shit's all about. What we're talking about is black ops, and we're not gonna go into that. But go ahead,
Well,
free.
I'll say one last thing. The from the only thing I've seen that are close to that are uh, adept sages, or you know, like you said, you always see those chiefs, those chieftains coming in. You know, you may not want to hear it. Some people may not want to hear it, but there's a lot of Moors that have that same similar status.
Eh,
When they pulled up into the computer, it's what TSC is, a central identification system for tracking people that have certain knowledge like that. So when they read our IDs, a TSC notice comes up in the police officer's computer, and it tells them the exact same thing that's on the second portion, which says, "Do not question this person and do not detain them."
Oh yeah, that shit's real. I'm not gonna talk about it on space, but I've seen some shit like that when I used to serve, but that we gonna leave that one alone. It's all tied in together, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Well, and I know y'all like, what the hell y'all talking about? We're talking about an organization that runs everything. I didn't name it. I talked about the movie The Skulls. The movie, that organization in that movie is a sub sister group of the organization you put in the chat, and all roads lead back to them. What this is about, I don't know, but it's a pattern. That's the origin of whatever's going on in this world. Yes, sir. You had a comment on freedom, or you landed your plane?
No, I just wanted to read a passage real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So I'll try not to, because it's this is almost like reading an unredacted document. Um, So nothing's gonna get anybody in trouble, but I gotta switch out certain words, okay? But um, let's talk about creation. Basically, there's 24 beings. 12 of them are bound to Earth, and they're disagreeing. They're having a disagreement. All right, and they're trapped here in this prism here in Earth, and they they want to enslave the humans. Okay, and basically, okay, let me just go ahead and read it. The Leviathan, and when I say the word Leviathan, would just imagine a serpent being that wants to come out of the water and walk
Yeah,
on land.
Leviathan is a reference. Wow, that's a reference, ladies and gentlemen, to Satan, like a in the deep. It means a deep, dark abyss. And yeah, I got you. Just to say, go ahead.
Correct, correct. Um, don't get upset if I say, because I'm going to actually say the correct names of some of these entities. All right. Satan is really Natas. It's backwards. All right. So the serpent people, one of the reptilian seeds, or the Lucifer, well, primitive cycle, have been trying to gain control over this planet for many thousands of Earth years. They are the sex spirit force. This is 666, sex spirit force, also called porne, pornography. They are able to seduce and deceive all those with desires on earth, turning lust to luster, thereby attracting and controlling all with it, as was seduced by the powers of lust. It is death and death of divinity, and the birth of mortality. This is why the Intergalactic Confederation quarantined the planet. If enough entities were looking for freedom, if enough entities were looking for freedom from the control of the primitive cycle, the Intergalactic Confederation would remove these forces, these evil forces, from the Earth. So let's see. Love turned to lust, and lust turned to love, expressing energy and motion, overexerting their emotions, bringing about their spiritual death. I think that's about as much as I'll go through. There's a few little skips that I put in there, but I think you understand what I mean.
Well, who woke this shit up? If y'all are kind of lost and want to know what he talking about, go ahead, go to YouTube on your spare time and type in Jordan. What's the guy's name? Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell talked about that in great detail, and what Jordan Maxwell said is kind of what Freedom just said. He said that what we're dealing with on planet Earth is supreme, just extraterrestrial origin beings who are in a battle with each other over Earth. And we just caught up in the middle. And certain groups of people are being used to serve their agenda. So to me, that just makes perfect sense. But the question that I have is, where do we fit into this? When I say we, I mean Black
We're
Americans.
being
Because
manipulated. Like I really did not like when Rihanna put out that "Pour It Up" video where she was the harlot on the throne. I really didn't like that. Um, they're using they're going to use or they're using our women as the projection of that sex spirit force because they want to intermix as much as possible, as much as humanly possible. It's the only way they can
what's
ascend.
I believe that because there's an agenda on in the media of biracial couples, and so what is intermixing? What does that achieve?
So I mean, all things are connected. I mean, our physical bodies are a microcosm of the macro. So the way you get into heaven is to is through
That's
the
what
the
it's about.
entries of
God
the
damn.
entries of the body.
Wow. Guys, y'all remember what I said earlier in the space about Bobby Hemmett having an uncle that was married to a very deviant member of the dominant society, and they both died, and the uncle got trapped somewhere? That's what he's talking about. And I've heard many people that I respect say that that's where we fit in. We're connected to the Most High, and certain groups of people, or certain groups of entities rather, are blocked from that realm of the Most High, Amenta, heaven, whatever you want to call it, and that we're being used to try to gain access to the realm of paradise. This is interesting shit to me. Hopefully, I'm not geeking y'all out, but when you study history, things don't make sense. It's like, what the fuck is this going on? And really, if you study ancient history like I do, it's the same fucking story. Ain't nothing changed. It's the same story over and over again that's been remixed and renamed. So it has to be some truth to, like in the Bible, it says the sons of men met the daughters of, sons of God met the daughters of man, and they were fair. Like this shit kind of makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I think it's the same story. It's just been remixed. Where does this story end, Mr. Freedom? What's the conclusion?
I can't tell you that.
Damn.
Yeah, I can't tell you that.
Damn, that's the first time I heard him say that. Housing, what's on your mind?
Y'all gotta stop. Really stop it, man. You're scaring me. You you are scaring me. Hello, everyone.
Well, what's up, brother?
Hello.
Housing, if you really want to be scared, this year I've been teaching ancient world history, and I geeked the fuck out in that class. And I got really brilliant students this year, and they've reminded me, they connected some dots that, like I said, everything connects back to that ancient world, and it's the Anunnaki make their grand appearance. Now, the European says all these names to confuse you. You've heard Mesopotamia. Some of y'all in college heard Mesopotamia. Some of y'all from Bible study remember Babylon. And some of the scholars in here have heard of, dang, what's the other name? God dang it, it escaped me. It's another name, but it's irrelevant. We're talking about the same place. And in Babylon, they have a religion where the winged ones came down and showed them how to do stuff. Here goes could it be the Anunnaki story? I don't know, but what I do know that some of y'all remember from Bible school, Bible study, and I'm not a biblical scholar, I'm just saying, y'all remember the story of Babylonians. What did they do? The winged ones came down and showed them technology and showed them how to build the Tower of Babel. Now, the head of a computer is called a tower for you geeks in here. And what did the tower do? The tower created communication between man and God. And in that story, God didn't like it. And what did he do to the tower? He destroyed it. Now, what scared me this year is one of my students brought to my attention that one of their main gods was named Sin AI. That's the name, Sin AI. Jordan Maxwell talked about that ad nauseum. And I was thinking to myself, oh shit, Sin AI. Where is America in the world lead? Where are we going to? We're going to a world controlled by what? A
AI.
is AI. What is that AI agenda really about? But I interrupted you, Housing. Go ahead.
It's a couple of things I could touch on because y'all was all over the place. I kid you not. But anyway, when y'all was mentioning about the goal, right? And the people from supposedly not of this world needed the gold to save their planet. It was a movie 2 years ago, and the black guy was from another planet. It was a It was a series, and they didn't do part two of it.
Altered Carbon.
If that's the name of it,
Altered Carbon. I think so, right?
what was the
He was a
black
black
guy's
guy
name?
that came down. Yeah. He was an extraterrestrial. Um.
That movie,
hmm
right? You gotta watch that movie there.
I'll watch it
And
tonight if it's on Netflix.
I don't know if it's on that. It's a series, wasn't it? A series?
Yeah. The only reason I said I butted in because there's a movie talking about creating planets, and
Right.
it's a black guy on that one too. But
Now, go
I
ahead.
think you're talking about Altered Carbon.
That could be it. All the things y'all was touching on about I mean, people from out of other planets. Of everything that y'all mentioned, I could put it into all the high-fi movies that they've been shown over the years. You follow me, Professor?
Yeah, it's the same story remixed over and over again.
Yes. Like if you want to, like if you really want to know what's really going on, they put it right in your face through the movies.
Do you know why housing? Do you know why?
Break it down to me.
They have to
They
tell
have
us.
to.
They have to. Wow.
But what? Okay, no. So you hear that, but there's a why though. I will share this, and I
So
made
it.
a, I made
So
a.
am
Mhm.
I? Let me ask you a question. You know what I'm talking about, then?
Absolutely, yeah. My whole life, I'm not gonna go into my. I have a very interesting past,
So let me
but
ask you one question, then we can continue. Who are you? Are you from this planet?
I'm just
That's
a
a
just a
joke.
regular nigga.
That's a joke. But you know what I'm talking about. Whenever you want to watch, if you ever want to know what's going on, like what's really going on, they put it in your face. And just like Wani said it, they have to tell us. Why, Wani, they have to tell us?
I was gonna answer why, but if you
I
want to
don't
say it,
know.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You go.
No,
Go ahead.
let
Whoever.
Freedom do it.
okay. So I'll post it down in the purple pill. I made a post the other day about it. It's some books on word magic. I even said what the word was a while ago, but to um, if you look in the word magicians, what they do with the disclosure, why they have to tell you, is because if you don't pick up on it, then that is tacit agreement, or what's called acquiescence. If they put it in front of your face and it goes into your uh, infinitidal machine, you have an imaginarium, okay, and you have a crystalline carbon structure in your body, called your brain, your whole body itself. If you accept it and digest it in your submental, you can literally create it. So they put it in front of you, and if you don't disagree with it, then it becomes.
Mm,
And it's literally, I'll post a passage in the book Word Magic. It talks about those some of those same people. They will put something in front of your face, and if you don't disagree with it, that's why they use mediums, forms, print, audio, subliminal, everything. It's literally in everything. I, I wish y'all could. For some people, I'm think maybe the professor has had some of these experiences. You probably absolutely have, but it is a wild experience when you actually can see the code in front of you. It's literally like the Matrix. It's
right.
I've had
Now,
that experience. All the veil is removed, and you
I've
get to.
seen. I've had one, a couple of them like that.
It's so, and you feel like information. It's too much. It's overloading. It's like, oh shit! Like I really see what the world actually is.
and
Well,
and it,
I will go ahead and share that my experience. But I don't share all of them because them folk
hey,
will
Professor,
come looking for me. But go ahead.
it's another thing I want to touch on. I listened to one of Bobby Herman posters, right? And what he was explaining through ancient Egypt and all that, he said they came to him and he said they scared him. I don't know what he knew. It's in one of his YouTube videos, and he was breaking it down. That's why I wonder where this guy's at, because
I
when
would
he was
love to meet Bobby Hemming.
when he was talking, it was like, how's this chubby guy know all this information? Like, where did he come from? He didn't have no books in front of him or none. He was just spitting it right off his tongue.
Housing. I had an experience I can't talk about because I can't talk about certain things.
Right,
It-
right.
anyway, let's just say I had an experience, and after that experience, I just knew shit. Y'all think I know? I don't know how I know half the shit. It's like I had got downloaded. I can't tell you about this experience. To talk about what Freedom was talking about after my main experience, it's some of you know about. Um, let's just say I was in a situation where I was compromised and I didn't have my weapon with me, and I had an out of body experience. It was just the weirdest thing ever. Let's leave it there.
I
But
got you.
after that, my life got weird. Like if y'all would have met me before that experience, y'all would not like me. I was like a Boy Scout. Not I never was a Boy Scout, but I'm just saying I was just like follow the rules, everything, Western academia, just like brainwashed. But after that experience, some years later, I went to Mexico and I met with some shamans down there, some actual Mayans, and they gave us some obsidian because they sun gaze, and they're like, you can look at the sun. They were telling me the sun is black, the sun is not, and I was like, damn, sun is black. And because you look at it through this rock they have in Mexico. Any of y'all go to Cozumel, they sell them all over the place. It's like volcanic rock that they would use to gaze at the sun to get information. Bam. Well, one day, since then, I would sun gaze at the hours that I was told to sun gaze at Kepra, that the Egyptians called it. There's times when you look at the sun to get your information. Your sun resets, and physicians know this. Medical doctors know that the sun sets your circadian rhythms. You're supposed to be outside absorbing the sun, and you're supposed to go. You're supposed to wake up at sunrise. The Egyptians call sunrise Kepra. And well, so it was a period of my life I was going through some heavy shit. Seems like I'm just coming out that darkness, but um, I would sun gaze in the morning early before I went to work. And one day I was gazing at the sun and it started twinkling weird in my eye. And it's so strange. It's like I picked up a code, like it blinded me for a second. And I saw numbers like the Matrix, like what Freedom said, and it was so weird. It was a line of numbers, just zoom, and then it was instantaneous, and it blinded me. And I looked away, and for about 15 minutes, I could see the code in everything. Like for instance, the number that the sun revealed to me was the number 9. Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, I jumped in my car to drive to try to like, what the fuck just happened? And I'll be driving down the street, and I saw code embedded in everything.
Everything.
For instance, and you know what number I kept seeing? 9. I saw nines everywhere. For instance, to give you a little taste of it, I was driving down the Winchester in Memphis, and the speed limit in Memphis is 45 miles an hour, and I just saw 4 and 5. That's a 9. I saw nines everywhere. So, and I later found out that 9 is a number of the Creator. But
That's an
but anyway,
initiation you went through. It happens.
And 9 months of birth,
yeah,
nine
yeah,
planets,
yep,
the nine. All
the
right,
9.
all right. Let's bring it back to a little more normal.
First off, to see nines on
Human stuff.
Winchester is
Let's bring it
crazy.
back. Let's bring it back to some human stuff. I still have my what is it called? The Apple music thing. What is it called again?
iTunes.
Yeah. What's the device? What's the name of the device?
Oh, the iPod.
Yeah, I still had two of them.
What are you doing with that?
I
I
don't know where my
know.
iPods went.
I
You should have
Winning.
sold it on eBay like 10 years ago.
I
Yeah,
still.
that
But
man is
listen,
winning.
listen. I had brought one off the street years ago, real hot, and it was kind of beat up. But being that Apple honored their products, they had me go all the way down to like to this little rinky dinky place that repairs them, and they gave me a brand new one. I was so amazed, a brand new one. But I went over to Apple and I said, "What's the value of these now?" And they said, "There's no value for them no more." But I know people are collecting them some way somehow, and we're going to get back to the description of what part of the country you from. You know, I'm from New York, and I was out in California. I met a couple of California people. They have a southern. Where Twizzo at?
No, we don't.
Yeah, they have a southern.
I'm
You'll have
No,
a southern twang talk.
those are
gonna
lies.
Yes.
interrupt you. I'm gonna interrupt you right quick. Housing. I'm from Alabama. I'm a country boy. I'm as
I know you.
country as it
I can
get.
tell you from down dirty south. I
As
already
country
know.
as it get, and I don't
Yeah.
hear. I don't hear. Everybody says that, but
Well,
I
I'm
don't
from New
hear.
York. We New Yorkers, we could pick it up.
Okay.
Like I know. All right. For instance, I'm from New York. I could tell if I'm talking to a brother and sister that's north of me, rough buff, Syracuse, all up in there. They got a country accent as well. Did you know that, Professor?
No, I never picked it up. I don't hear country from California people. California people just talk like they on TV or some
No,
shit.
they have this little. It's just a little, a subtle. It's subtle. It's real subtle. It's real subtle. Yes, I think New Yorkers have could pick up most of the talk where people are from. Like the lady was talking about her R. She rolls her R's when she say car. It rolls. It rolls off her tongue. But
All
anyway,
right.
but Professor, that's some deep stuff y'all was just talking about just now. Some deep stuff. So I'm gonna get back into my little high-fi movies, and I'm see can I get coded out. But at the end of the day, what is the end results, uh, brother, brother Free? What's the end result?
So I just posted down there, Professor. What happened to you was you was taken up. You was taken up, and the information that you needed was downloaded into your RNA and your DNA. That's what it
Yeah,
So
was.
somebody snatched them up.
I know shit that I don't know how I know it. I don't have a clue how I know it.
Yeah. So it's amazing these conversations, and I know I listening to you. I'm like, yeah, he got it. He got it because there's no other way that you can put these things together. It doesn't matter how much you read. It comes to you. You know what I'm saying? Or you see things in a different type of way. There's this TV show. There's a lot. There's a lot of movies and TV shows. One was doing Kevin Spacey, I believe, and the other one posted was called Manifest. Is these people that went up in a ship up into the sky, and then they disappeared, and they came back years later. And when they came back, they had all kinds of telepathic, you know, psychometry. They had all kinds of different abilities when they came back. And people want to think that it takes a long time, but these things are like instantaneous downloads. You know,
Instant,
it's literally
instantaneous.
it's literally ether. It's light. I mean, we're literally putting those into the ground. They put these cords into the ground and they shoot light through that's how we're getting a lot of our internet now. You know what I mean? But it's literally being restored. The what we're living on is being restored, and that information there's a core. They call it Black Sun, and you just got that download from the Black Sun. That's all it is.
And how you obtain is how you get it, how you able to achieve it.
You have to be able to withstand it. You have to be able to withstand it. Some
So
people
can
when
it
they
kill
get
you?
it, they go crazy.
Can it literally take your life?
You will take your own life.
Uh,
It makes
If you try
you
to
could make you
if you
crazy.
try to change, this is the thing. You can't. There's only certain people that can change the world. And they get specific information, and they
is it limited to any one ethnic group or all?
um. hmm, I wouldn't say it's exactly limited to an ethnic group. No, no, but there's levels to it, and they you yeah, there's definitely levels to it, and everyone is fighting for supremacy, like I'm saying, and the control of the body is the most important thing. But I just wanted to let you know that it's certain bloodlines, is certain times that you were conceived. All these things are
A
closely
factor.
guarded and protected. Yeah, yeah, it does matter. It doesn't, you don't want to sound like you're part of like a. It is. It's an extremely small club, and you can't wish for it. And sometimes if you want the if you want the information, you can't handle it. Some people just can't take it. They're literally self-destruct.
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
that movie, what was the name of it again? Carbon.
Oh no, it's a TV show called Manifest.
No, I'm talking about the movie I was just mentioning to you. Carbon Copy.
Oh, Altered Carbon.
Altered Copy. If
I put it in the purple pill. I heard you guys talking about it,
did
so
you
I
watch that
googled it.
movie?
I actually
Dr.
just
York?
turned it on,
Yes.
and it is on Netflix, Professor,
Watch that,
and it says
Professor.
2 seasons.
There's a crazy war going on right now. It'll be interesting to have a room to actually talk about what's happening. I can't talk about the end, but I could tell you like what's happening, and it's just wild. Like there's an article that just came out where they was talking about scientists, as they say, they for uh for groundbreaking news, they said that they just learned how to freeze light.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're lying. I believe you, but they're lying because in 2001, when I left Harvard, Harvard had when I was there, they had the physics department froze a ray of light and had it slowed down to 5 miles an hour. A year later, when I looked into that article, they had stopped a ray of light, suspended it, and sent it back the other way. So they've been doing that.
They're doing everything they can to get away from their destiny, and it's
Wow.
not gonna work.
All
It's
right. I'm
gonna
gonna land my
happen.
plane. I'm gonna land my plane with this here, right? I'm waiting for I'm waiting for them to pull up and they just came out of warp speed and they shouting us out. That's what I'm waiting for. If I'm still here.
um it's gonna be a lot of hell first. That first wave is not good.
All right, I got a question. Then I'm gonna land my plane and let everybody else talk. Hypothetically speaking, right? What if they literally roll up on us, like from outer space? Will America attack them, or they wouldn't
With
come?
what?
And
It's
say that
not even
again,
from
Wally.
outer space, it's from the water. You got
It
it,
would come. It would come from the water.
yeah.
They already can do whatever they want to do, so I wouldn't worry about it.
So they here ready, Wally?
Did y'all watch Black Panther? Did you see Cool Khan? Or I mean, y'all gotta pay attention to these movies.
Well, these entities have been getting spotted for all of recorded history. And if they wanted to pimp slap us, we would have already been taken over. They may be doing different types of takeovers that are not violent, like them running up and down the street with big goggle heads.
Right.
They be doing other insidious
But
takeovers.
Wally, I have a question.
Hmm.
Why? Why is it people associate with this entity being like negative and a bad? It's a bad thing.
Because we're scared of it. Um, I don't think it's good or bad, to be honest. Just exploitative.
So if they
That's not
if they
true.
have if they have this ability, right? If they come from other planets, right? That means like they have the technology to move at warp speed. Like,
Well, if we're going to say that they're flying here in a nuts and bolts situation, or are they just moving through,
No, they're stuck
a
here.
time
portals?
machine, a time
Housing,
machine.
housing. They're stuck here. They keep showing you supposedly them going up into outer space because they want you to imagine them to do it. That's the only way
So they come from beneath.
that it's stuck. Yeah, the
I heard that.
There
I
are other
heard that. I heard
dimensions
that.
through different ways.
Yeah, I heard it's a whole different world out there.
they want you to imagine that they can leave. They're stuck. They wanted to. They have to put it in our minds. They could really do it. They real shit that happens in the world, and you know this, Professor. You don't put that on TV. The real stuff
No,
that happens. No,
no,
no.
no.
It's
You're not.
BS. They want you to
Now, you
believe it.
said they weren't exploitative. You tell me what their attitude is.
No, they literally. It's described in the tale of the Cain and Abel. It's a jealousy. It's a hate and a jealousy. It's a intergalactic sin and hate. It's just like somebody's just better than you
Against
and
us?
beats you at everything naturally without even trying, without breaking a sweat. It just
Against us?
yeah, yeah. It
Why are they jealous of us?
because you can only see in black and white. You crawl on your belly. Um, the sun attacks you. You know you you don't have opposable like you have to imagine how much hate you have for a being that, just like the professor says, can download that information through the sun. They got to create all kinds of drugs to do things that we can do when we just dance and sing. um
So this is the
Well, why
black.
don't they go to another planet where they don't need thumbs and stuff?
they're sequestered. It's sequestered here, but they want to be able to take control of the surface. Uh, that's what they'd like to do to so the only way that they can do that is if you mix in with them. So I said it's a sex spirit force. They
So
want
like out. So
Sound
like
like vampires.
no,
Yeah,
hold on.
yeah.
well, we have
No.
clotting agents, the keloid.
I think that's what the Vampire Stories is about. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get a couple more speakers and we're gonna
Right.
continue
I'm
this.
I'm a close, but
Go ahead and land your plane.
Professor, they so we let's talk about Aquaman. Can we take it from there? When you saying they mix, because what's the white girl that had a baby by the surface guy, and Aquaman came about.
I'm missing your reference.
The
You got to be specific.
the Aquaman movie. What was
Aquaman.
her name? What's her name? The white girl, the English white girl.
I didn't.
Oh,
I missed that. I
I
know.
don't know.
I
What
know.
you're talking
There's the Drago and like there's different. Look,
No, she had a baby. Listen, she came from she came from the water, s- ran from her peoples, had a baby, and Aquaman came about. He was half human and half.
so you gotta understand these stories
I
are
missed that
allegory,
movie.
and so they hide it. And so if you look at Black Panther, Neymar is Nomos. You just got to line up these words,
All
and
right.
you'll
I land my plane,
they'll make
Professor.
sense. A Draco, Draco Dragon, like these were rapes. They weren't. A lot of these weren't actual willing um, intercourse. But anyway, I'll let you go, Professor.
All right, yeah, I appreciate it. Housing. We're gonna get two more people. I think Rock's been waiting a while, and then Unicorn will be our last speaker for the night. We'll continue this subject tomorrow because it's been so important. And wow, powerful, powerful space, y'all.
Real
Go
deep.
deep. Go ahead. But what I will say before I go to Rock is Bobby Hemmett also said something. You talking about mixing of blood? Bobby Hemmett said some deep shit. He said that same uncle that they had a mixed child, and well, the Egyptians said when we go to sleep, we die every day. You say every time you go deep REM, you travel back to Amenta, to the land of Amenta, which is why we heal when we sleep. Um, he- uh, Bobby Hemmett said that certain groups of people are blocked from that realm, right? Well, he said he had a mixed race niece, and she had, when she went to sleep, she'd have nightmares of a place just full of hell. And if you look, a lot of members of the dominant society don't sleep like we do. They don't like sleeping. They're up early in the morning, and sleeping's not really a pleasant thing. Whereas Black Americans, we love our sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So does that mean something? Well, University of Pennsylvania did a study in 2008ish, somewhere around in there, where they were trying to find out where you go. Where it was a study on consciousness. It was hundreds of millions of dollars, and it was fucking inconclusive. But what they did find out is when you go deep REM, your brain waves almost flatline like a dead person. So it's something to be said about the Egyptians. The Egyptians said, as above, so below. The microcosm is the macrocosm, and every time you go to sleep, you die, and every time you wake up. Matter of fact, the Egyptians said,
It's true.
"Yep." The Egyptians,
Your soul leaves or something leaves.
yep,
It leaves, but not the whole thing, so you can come back.
right, right, right.
That's why when we under anesthesia, we get our best sleep.
We out of here. Yeah, yeah. Well, we're gonna go to Rock 8410, and then we'll. Oh dang, she dropped down. Let me bring her back up. Rock 8410, and let's see. Who did I say? Uh, I guess the other lady dropped. Oh, Unicorn, there she is. Go ahead, Rock.
Okay. Sorry about that, Professor. I'm out in a remote area.
You good?
I believe the name of the show that Hausen was talking about is The Man Who Fell to Earth. It has Chiwetel Ejiofor, and he's like an alien that came here because his planet was dying.
Yes,
But when he
yes,
came, he created cold fusion and like
yes,
perpetual
yes.
energy. Like he basically upended the entire economy of the planet.
There you
And
go.
he was like the most sought after person in the world, and then he became basically like Steve Jobs, but just like times 100. And then
Professor, watch that.
Will
I
do.
put an image of it in the chat,
Thank
and
you, brother.
it's on Showtime. And then the other thing I was gonna ask is Freedom talking about the movie K-Pax with Kevin Spacey, where he was supposed to be
Right.
from like another galaxy. And then I'll land my plane. I wanted to ask, what part does this new world of genetic engineering or uh, I guess bioengineering, where like you got this company that's recreating extinct animals like dire wolves and woolly mammoths, and then the AI, how does that play into the topic? And then I'll land my plane and drop down.
Well, I think that this whole genetic engineering thing is to try to keep a certain group of people on Earth because they're running out of time. Bobby Hemmett said some deep ass shit. Bobby Hemmett said in 19. Wow, well, man, we're gonna have to continue this tomorrow. Well, Bobby Hemmett, like Freedom said, it's the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. They have to tell you what's going on, so they don't reap the karma. Like we have to have freedom of will. Well, it's done through television. Well, there was a show that nobody talks about. They gave up a whole lot of game called Dune, Dune. There's been a remake of it, and in Dune, there's a group of people. It's different houses of families, and there's a house of Atreides, house of I forgot the names, but one of the houses of people have a heart plug. They have genetic. They're dying. They're dying out, and they have all this cybertronics in their body to stay alive. I think that's representative of the dominant society. There's another house that's fighting, and the people, the heroes of the story, are the Sand People. And what was their name? The Fremen. That's a play on words. What does Fremen sound like?
Freeman.
Freeman. That's us. And the Freeman reclaimed the world or whatnot. So I watched Dune. Dune has a whole bunch of game. Like it's one person in there that achieves a status called a Kwisatz Haderach, which is you can be in different place. You can be in multiple places at the same time. Bobby Hemmett, according to Bobby Hemmett, certain people that in our history have achieved that status, Kwisatz Haderach. And one person, according to Bobby Hemmett, that achieved that status was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which kind of makes sense because if you read Malcolm X's literature, he said when he was in prison, he got visited. When he got in the holding cell, he straight up got visited by Elijah Muhammad. He was just standing there right next to him. So
So he can buy locate.
yeah, being um one more than one place at a time. It's a status that you can achieve according to Bobby Hemmett. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go to Unicorn and we're gonna conclude. Look for us tomorrow because we're gonna continue this because this needs to be unpacked a little bit more. Unicorn, what's on your mind?
So I can only speak on my story. My kid was at Virginia Tech, and I was so worried about her. Um, you know, I'm thinking honestly, she's down there with all them white kids. She's gonna get on fucking drugs, even though academic academically she was on point. Um, so worried, so worried. Um,
Unicorn, I'm losing context. What are you talking about?
I'm saying I was so worried about my daughter at Virginia Tech.
At the what?
Virginia Tech,
Virginia Tech. Okay.
yeah, with all them white kids, right? So worried, so worried. And we came down to visit, and me and my ex-husband, uh, we love her to death, to death. Um, we drove down,
Drop the
and I
point.
pushed it. Um, and we go down there, and I booked a place like way out, and he was cussing me out.
Oh, like you
I didn't
about
know where
to?
I was going.
Okay, ma'am, please relinquish
She been
yourself
drinking?
from this space. Family. I left in the people in the purple pill what you need to have if you're moving around for sensitive information. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Unicorn, with all due respect, I don't know what you're talking about.
What happened? Am I drunk or is everybody else drunk? Just
I
Let,
checking.
don't, I don't know.
I saw
nah,
a
she definitely
unicorn.
out there.
Let me
I
get a
saw
She
a
out there.
unicorn.
let me get a
She's
shot
out.
of that.
She
What you drinking?
totally
Checking.
off subject.
Yeah, she out there.
I
She loves
removed
this
her. I
space.
removed her.
What
She had a little bit to
is
drink, but
happening?
we
A little bit.
this is a sober
Nah, she had a
space.
lot of it.
We're talking about moonshine, a jug
Yeah,
of
she on
moonshine.
Winchester right now. She in
Blame
South
it on the
Memphis.
alcohol.
Yeah,
That's a
yo.
lot. That was a
That
lot.
was a lot of alcohol.
I don't even know what happened. What was she saying? Her daughter, her husband
She
cussed her
she was
out.
at
Daughter was in
Virginia Tech when it
Virginia Tech.
happened.
Yeah.
Any of this have to do with the
I think
Anunnaki?
An Asian person. She was trying to mix it with the Asians. We look. We trying to find a way. Y'all have a good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all. We will continue this tomorrow. We got some unpacking to do. So make sure you join us tomorrow. In addition, in the Jumbotron shortly, you will see Wani Spots and Nikki the God's Cash App. Once I find it, I can add to the Jumbotron if I go to another page, but my Jumbotron's jacked up today. Does it have anything to do with the topic? I don't know, but it's real mysterious. You'll see their Cash App. Show them love for their scholarship and dedication. In addition, my Cash App Our Story publications will be in there shortly. If you want a copy of my book, put $25 on Our Story publication. Put your full address and zip, and I'll send it to you tomorrow. If you ordered a book, couple of y'all ordered a book, your book will come tomorrow. I enjoyed y'all. This was deep. Look at those pictures again. This is not woo woo. This is science. We have evidence. Science is based in evidence. And y'all tell me tomorrow, where did those skulls come from? Are those children who just had a head wrap on? I don't know. Those eye sockets.
No.
Nope. Those eye sockets are gigantic, and they're real, and they're on display in Peru and for everybody to see, and in South America for everybody to see. And according to Billy, uh, uh, what's Billy's last name? I forgot it. Billy. God dang it, I forgot his name. The scholar, Billy.
Bobby
No,
Hemming?
Billy. God dang it, I just forgot his name. I'm having one of them days. Billy. The guy that talks about metaphysics. Billy Clarkson. Nah, that dang it, I forgot his name. But according to one of our great scholars, they're on this
Billy Carson.
Billy Carson. There you
He's
go.
plagiarizing knowledge though, but I got you.
He
Yeah,
be on
Billy.
he be on Instagram, right, Professor?
Yeah, him. Billy Carson said
Yes.
if you go to Egypt and you kind of talk to the guards and maybe offer them a little money, you can go see those skulls on the display in Egypt, but you can't bring your cell phone. But it's okay. We got pictures of them in the Jumbotron. What is this about? If in conclusion, is the FBA lineage older than African lineage? Yes, because Africa was broken up. They don't know who the fuck they are. But guess what, FBAs? We know who we are. Isn't that wonderful? Last but not least, were the Anunnaki real? Shit, I'm gonna say yeah, because we got evidence in the Jumbotron. I enjoyed y'all. This was a deep discussion. One more thing. Mr. Freedom brought up, and Wani brought up how they have to show you what's going on. That's in the Kybalion, um, and it's called the law of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. You have to keep things straightforward, in order to not reap bad karma or pay for the actions you're doing. The way it was explained to me is if I offered Wani a drink and said, "Hey, drink this. This is delicious," and it's poison, and she drank it and she died, I just murdered her. But if I tell Wani, "Hey, Wani, I got a drink," this is going to give you a whole lot of knowledge but it's a chance you might die, but it's worth it because this knowledge is going to make you rich for the rest of your life. Guess what I just did? I offered her the choice to kill herself, and I won't pay for it. So that's what we're looking at with these movies. They have to tell us what's going on, but they make it look like fiction. Um, it was explained that that movie, it came out before I was born in the 70s, but my dad used to watch it on repeat in the 80s. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Some scholars in military, former intelligence people, have said that really happened, and Steven Spielberg was paid by the government to release that movie to let people know what was going on, also to have plausible deniability. Like, if people that actually saw the event said, "Man, a gigantic spaceship landed," and da da da, they'll say, "Fool, you talking about third? And you watched the movie and you on drugs?" It's part of a system that's been perfected. You know. It's one more thing I want to say, but I forgot what I was going to say. Doggone it, it'll come to me tomorrow. I enjoyed y'all. And Wani, did you have any final any closing remarks?
Good night.
Nikki, did you have any closing remarks?
Good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Salute, Professor Wani,
Okay.
Nikki the God.
Salute. I enjoyed y'all. Peace out.
And stop messing with my iPad too, Wani. I still got it. I'm not gonna get rid of it. But
Bye,
one
y'all.
thing